And so everyone come across. And so everyone come across. And so everyone come across. Okay, cool. So come across that and I'll see you guys on the space. And so everyone come across. Okay, cool. So come across that and I'll see you guys on the space. And so everyone come across. Okay, cool. So come across that and I'll see you guys on the space. And so everyone come across. Okay, cool. So come across that and I'll see you guys on the space. Cool. And so everyone come across. On the X hole. Okay, cool. The YouTube channel, is it working? Are people already here? It's working, sweet. This is sick actually because I'm using, oh wait, I should be going to create, go live. There we go. And it's working, right, okay. So let's get to back to the space. Andrew, hope you're doing well. How are you? Give us your thoughts.
Suleiman, yes. So glad. Thank you for asking Anthony about the Hegseth Scott interaction there and what Scott was saying about the stock, our weapons stock. I knew Anthony would say what he said, but until I hear it from him, because I very highly respect his knowledge, of course, his intellect, and the way he definitely knows. He won't say anything until he's done the research. And as I said before, Green Beret are trained to do analysis and do briefing on what they've seen, and they can break it down so the rest of us can understand. Bottom line, translated, the United States of America is in serious trouble with our stock. Now, you will get the performers, and I use the P word, performers on here, who will come on and say, no, nothing to be seen here. No, we can go on for hundreds of years. We have billions and trillions. We can win anything. We're the greatest. I mean, stop it. Stop. We must stop listening. Okay, we're not children here. We're not imbeciles. We're not feeble-minded by God's grace. So no, this is not classified. Okay, it's classified. Okay, they can throw whatever classification they want on it. But Scott is a man of great moral integrity, great moral character, and he has great moral courage. And for those that don't know who Senator Scott is, Mark Scott, he's a hero, a war hero, a fighter pilot with many combat tours. He's a retired U.S. Navy captain. I have great respect for this man. I don't really care for his political affiliations. I went in some of his political stuff, but I really highly respect his moral courage. Now, Scott, he's going to look and say the truth. He will speak the truth when it comes to military operations. And he's the one who said, do not follow unlawful orders. Hegseth tried to court-martial him. Now, I'm a retired naval officer. When I retired, I had to sign some paperwork saying, do you understand that you will, for the rest of your life, you can be recalled to active duty and be court-martialed if you ever violate da-da-da-da-da. And I go, yeah, okay, fine. So, yeah, I understand. I can't say certain things. I won't say certain things. Okay, and what Scott said is not unlawful. It's not illegal. He didn't break any laws. Every human being that wears the uniform must follow lawful orders. If a person follows an unlawful order, either morally, now the moral thing, I won't go into all that, or civil law, that's in violation of the Geneva Convention, in violation of the rules of engagement. I could talk for 20 minutes on that. I won't. But that we are bound not to follow those orders. Briefly, I won't go through it. I got into it with at the time he was 3 before he put his 3rd star on, and I was only a lieutenant at the time. We got into a very heated debate because we were crossing some boundaries and we talked, but that's how we work things out. But any time you're dealing with a broken, immoral, and a despot, a tyrant, an idiot, an out-of-control maniac. They will not listen to anything, and so they instill fear. And that's what happened at Quantico. So, yeah, we are very dangerous in our war stock. So for anyone to think that we're going to go blast the hell out of someone for a year, the next 6, 8, but we're going to blow them, is insane. It's irresponsible. And please, people, say no, stop it. Okay. We were talking about the USS Alaska, and I spent most of my naval career in submarine warfare, and both serving years at sea submarines. Mostly all my stuff has been fast attack stuff. I was the Saturday, Sunday, and night operation where we go down, we go deep, and we will stay out. To say a submarine is submerged for 90 days is laughable. Yeah, okay, that's not true, but the reason they post 90 days, that's for stock media. But no, we can stay underwater. If we didn't need food, we could stay underwater for years, 7 years before we have to literally surface. But because of food, and I'm not at liberty to go into how long we can stay with food supplies, I'm not going to talk about duration, but a submarine can stay underwater for longer than 90 days. I've done it, and it gets interesting. So now for the USS Alaska, this is an SSBN. That means a submarine nuclear ballistic launch missile boat. That's the boys that destroy entire continents. They carry those missile they carry the Ohio class, they carry those Trident missiles, and that's the missiles that aren't tactical. They do strategic take out cities in one massive blast. Now, for that submarine, and I'm going to say this very slowly, for a United States submarine to surface means not breaching. We call it broach or breach a periscope or broach an antenna. For it to surface is extremely, and I'll repeat, extremely rare. In fact, people that go, I'm going to go on Google and search. Oh, yeah, a submarine has to surface when it comes into Gibraltar. Well, no, that's an absolute lie. But if people want to say it, fine. That's okay. They can believe what they want to believe. A submarine does not have to surface. Someone said this thing, I was reading it. It has to surface when it comes to Gibraltar. No, I'm not at liberty to discuss that. But no, we don't have to surface at Gibraltar. I've been through Gibraltar several times. I've got stories about Gibraltar. Yeah, we're looking at 7 nautical miles. Submarines, we don't use statute miles. We use nautical miles. You're looking at 7 nautical miles. And when you're blasting through there, trust me, that's not a lot of room when you've been at sea submerged for weeks and weeks and weeks just getting the last satellite feed. For that submarine to surface there, to come in through Gibraltar is okay. It's almost unprecedented. There is history. Yes, I double-checked real quick before I came on. I didn't want to talk out of my butt here. Yes, there have been some cases where just a few in the past 5-8 years, very few, like a handful of submarines have surfaced and pulled into Gibraltar. And that's it's a Royal Naval base. That's the British Royal Naval base there in Gibraltar. It's a refit facility. And why is this a big deal? There's 3 things I see here with the Alaska. One, for it to surface there, that's sending a very strong message to the world. And it's telling the world, hey, I know the world never sees a submarine. We're the silent service. We don't go around saying, hey, we're here. No, you never know where we are. And that's what makes us so deadly. We're all over the place. And when I say 24/7, I mean literally 24/7. We have many of our fast attack submarines and our SSBNs and our SSGNs. Those are the ones that shoot the tactical nukes or tactical missiles, right? And our SSNs, we destroy surface and submarine targets. But for it to surface, Suleiman, that is a very, very big deal, highly unprecedented. So I believe it's sending a signal. That's probably Trump doing some muscle flexing. Hey, we got this submarine, and we're going to blow the shit out of something, okay? We're going to go blow some stuff up. And I think that's a threat. The other reason, and I am at liberty to talk about this, because for a submarine to surface like that, to pull into Gibraltar, we have to look at Gibraltar. I would love to take some time to talk about the Royal Navy and why the Royal Navy is in a Spanish port, but the Royal Navy controls it, and that's España, and we won't go into that. But the Royal Navy has a very well, highly developed refit port there, dry dock, supply, resupply. So I'm thinking there may be two things going on. That submarine needed some emergent significant repair. Stuff happens. And what, excuse me, stuff happens when you're submerged for weeks and months at a time and things break down. Okay. So that's okay. But it could be for repair or repairs, plural. And these repairs are not minor. They're probably rather significant. And also, it could be because that submarine has been submerged for so long. I'm not going to go into time frames here, but it's been submerged for so long that they literally are running out of food. Now, we know we can get food anywhere. We can do what we've done these night, pop up in the middle of the night, nowhere, have a meetup, something, whatever. But it's probably all three. I'm going to say it's saber rattling, sending a message. We're going to blow some stuff up. We can blow you up. Two, they probably have some rather emergent repair, and the Royal Navy can do that repair there. They're amazing. And three, a food supply and maybe bring on some personnel. And they're also going to exchange documents and bring on maybe some tech support or something like that. So I won't keep going on and on about that. But for that submarine, once they finish there, it will submerge and again go blank. And I know our China friend will come on here and say, oh, or David Z might pop up here.
With all due respect, my friend,
And
with all due respect, my friend, there's a few things that are not right about being a submariner. They
okay,
absolutely have all the food.
Wait,
yeah,
Mikey, let him finish his point before you
let
interrupt.
me.
Go on.
Yeah, and I'm going to finish here. So we might get someone come on here and say, "Oh no, the China and Russia, they can see our submarines even if they're 1,000 feet deep." No, that's a lie. They can see them when we break the surface. But so I'll round it up there. And I'll just finish right there. So thank you.
I appreciate your argument, but let me just say my boyfriend is a submariner, so I have a few little tips. I'm not saying that I am an expert opinion. However, I just want to let you guys know that the United States submariners right now are doing an excellent job, and they're working extraordinarily hard, and they're extraordinarily stressed out. So I really, it hurts my feelings. I know that you guys are going to talk bad about me, but it hurts my feelings to hear that Americans are talking bad about our submariners because they're working extraordinarily hard right now. And you guys don't even, I mean, like, they can't even communicate with their families, let alone know how it is to, like, be a normal human. What are you laughing at, Andrew? What are you laughing at, Andrew?
Mikey, you must be new to this space. Andrew always speaks very highly of our forces.
Lad, I would love to take you to sea with me, close the hatch, and I would love to spend about 6 months underwater with you.
Oh, you'd love to spend 6 months in submariner conditions?
Yeah,
bro?
how many that's what I did. Do you understand? That's what I did. That's my career.
You know what they're doing right now, though.
But I'm going to listen to you tell me. It sounds like mangoes.
I got him. One second. Can we just get some perspective here, please? Like some perspective. Like there's people are getting, they're dodging bombs every day. There's children starved. There's children getting starved to death.
Yeah.
Like, we have some perspective here.
So
they're protecting the submarine and they're working, and they're getting fed every day.
Submariners are not dodging anything.
They might be working hard, but there's literally people being slaughtered. So, like, please save that nonsense. People in Lebanon are getting bombed every day. People in Iran, the carpet bombed Tehran. Like, look, let's just have some perspective here. Don't come here with that nonsense.
Well, no, excuse me.
Exactly.
The bombs in Lebanon are bombs that we're allowing because we're hitting terrorist targets and we're letting them know that they need to evacuate.
Fella, this is the wrong space. That's not going to wash on this space. Like,
okay,
no
I'm sorry. I guess you disagree with my
One second. Mikey, 1 second. Let me just correct a couple of facts. And then welcome to everybody on the panel. I'm going to give Johnny the mic. So after I've just corrected a couple of facts.
Thank you for welcoming me. Thank you. Good morning.
I said welcome everybody, Mikey. You're welcome as well. We welcome everybody on the panel. So I just want to correct you on a couple of things, and I'll give Johnny the mic, and he can Just to break down what's happening in Lebanon for you. So, firstly, Mikey, we're not going to talk bad about you. Why would we talk bad about you? We have people of varying opinions on our panel, okay? So, you're welcome just as much as anybody else, firstly. The second thing is, we don't talk bad about Americans. Most of our panel is Americans. I'm British myself. Sulaiman's British. We love America. We have an affinity to America. What we're doing here is breaking down the war and what's happening in the Iran war. And we are a facts-based space. Andrew, who was speaking here, rightly said he's a veteran. He served in the US Navy all his life. Okay, so he's giving a perspective because Suleiman, and you probably don't know this, has just come off from doing 3 interviews on YouTube with experts, and they've given a perspective on what's happening with the submarine. So Andrew was just breaking down and giving an alternative perspective. Nobody's saying that the people on the submarines are not working hard. I appreciate your boyfriend's on there. Nobody's saying that they're bad people. They're serving their country. It's just that what we feel is that the country shouldn't have actually started this aggression on Iran. The
I
people are not to
appreciate
blame.
your analysis, and I have nothing bad to say about it. I think you're 100% correct, and I'm sorry if anything that I said was disingenuous to what you just said. You are 100% correct, and I apologize.
Not at all, Mikey, not at all. I just wanted to clarify that. And you're welcome, and thanks for sharing your perspective. So let me go to Johnny, who I interrupted. Welcome, Johnny. Please.
Hi, Beatrix.
Hey.
What's happened to your other account, by the way? I've never got to ask you that question, Beatrix. I'm not going to say your other name for obvious reasons. I'm assuming not to keep that.
It went far, far away, Johnny, away from all the trolls, away from all the people that used to get on my nerves under it. And I like this one a lot better. And I think she's a much nicer person than the older person, Johnny. So go ahead.
Sorry, I've not been on Spaces like of late. For some reason, I seem to get my account. I've had my account hacked twice in the last 2 months. I don't know why I'm getting targeted. And both times one was for 4 weeks, another one's for 3 weeks. So I've not been on Twitter like consistently for a while. So that's why I've not been on Spaces. Not because I've suddenly stopped supporting you or Suleiman, because you know I always support you both. And everyone who's on the space, please give Suleiman a follow, give Beatrix a follow, subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's doing a lot of great work. Listen to some fantastic interviews. Mr. Brandy's on tonight. That was a great interview, by the way. As I says, Suleiman puts a lot of time and effort into this, and he doesn't get paid for it. He's been demonetized, so please support him any way you can. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for that. Also, real quickly, just a quick question.
Just 1 sec, Micah. Just 1 sec.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Just to reiterate what Beatrix said, like, I'm a former British soldier myself. I'm not going to talk bad about British soldiers or American soldiers, but what I find tragic is that young men and women are being used as tools, as cannon fodder for Netanyahu and for Israel and for
It's
Donald
terrible.
Trump. Please, Mikey, please stop that. I'm asking you politely.
Mikey, I'm going to drop you if you keep interrupting people. Go ahead.
It is tragic that young men and women that don't get me wrong, that they believe they're joining up for the right reasons, are being used for the wrong reasons. As Beatrix just said, and rightly said, factually said, Iran didn't start this war. Iran didn't do anything to start this war. They have had their embassies bombed when they've had guests on guests in their embassies. They were bombed. They've been targeted constantly. They've had 47 years of sanctions. 47, just because they won't bend the knee to America, they've been sanctioned for 47 years. They had the JCPOA that was ripped up. They were playing ball there. The JCPOA. Donald Trump came in at the behest of Israel, at the behest of Netanyahu, ripped that up. So all of this shit, you need to get away from mainstream media. It's literally controlled by Zionists. Yeah, it is. The only reason you should listen to media is to know what narrative they're spinning. That's it. It's not a fact-finding mission. It's about what narrative they're trying to spin. They're compulsive liars. Like the minute they speak, they lie. So, and I'm not saying that the Iran regime is. I'm not here to say I love it or I hate it. I mean, I don't really. I don't know. I don't know the intricacies of the Iran regime to speak on it objectively. All I'm saying is, from an outsider's point of view, they did not start this war. This was a war of choice and a war of aggression. And American soldiers have died needlessly because Donald Trump is either bought and paid for by Israel or is absolutely terrified of what's in the Epstein files. It's one of the two. Yeah, it's one of the two. This war is more unpopular than Vietnam. Like most Americans don't want this war. Not even Americans. Most people don't want this war. We don't want this war. I support Iran not because I'm backing the Iran regime. I support Iran because unlike the other Islamic countries like Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, UAE, These are the only people that I can see from where I'm stood. They're the only people that are standing up to Israel, and America the bully. America thinks they can bully everyone and get away with it. And that's why they've done what they've done to Iran for the last 47 years. That's why they're sanctioned, because they won't bend the knee, because they won't get IMF loans and get into more debt and allow America's tentacles in. Listen, you don't have to like Iran or love Iran. You don't have to like. The bottom line is, right, Iran is the only person that I can see that is standing up to America and standing up to Israel. You think if they take over Iran, they're going to stop there? Look what they're doing to Lebanon now. Look what they've already done to Gaza. Gaza's
Excuse
gone.
me, are you saying Iran is standing up to America?
Can you please, fella, please? No, when I'm just in mid-floor, please. I'm asking you really politely. Thank you. I'll answer your question after. Just let me finish what I'm saying. I would appreciate that. Look what Gaza's gone. Gaza's gone. That's going to take billions and billions to, and no doubt 10, 20, maybe 30 years to rebuild that. And now they're doing it to Lebanon. And do you know what it is? The difference between Iran and America and Israel is Iran has been targeting military sites and military personnel. Listen, as a former military man, military sites and military soldiers are fair game. We are fair game in the rules of war. People, babies, children, no. Mosques, no. Churches, no. Synagogue, no. They're not fair game. They're protected under the Geneva Convention. And yet, Israel and America has got no problem bombing schools. Children, remember that school? I think it was the second day of the war started. They bombed a children's school and they killed over 150 schoolgirls. But you want to talk to me about people in the space about Iran, and Iran's the big bad devil. Iran's not been bombing schools.
Well, you're not allowing me to respond, mate.
For fuck, I nearly swore then.
The school children, mate. The school
Sorry,
children.
Max, can you deal with this guy, please?
Mate, you talked about
Okay,
it, but I
so
was telling
Mikey,
you, the fact is, that was a major
wait,
accident.
Mikey. Yeah, okay, Mikey, just wait. So I don't know how different spaces are, but in this space, we let a speaker finish, unless it's a debate, and then we will give you the mic to respond, but don't interject, please, because it just derails the space.
I'll be quiet.
No problem, no problem. Thank you. And I'll come to you.
I know I've been going for a few minutes, and I don't want to hog the mic, so I do appreciate that. I'll sort of finish on this, right? Professor Miranda, I've done my research on him. I'm not no expert, by the way, but I've watched as many of his interviews as I can. One's with Piers Morgan, the interview with Suleiman. Now, to me, I understand both sides do propaganda in war. I understand that, like both sides do propaganda. But to me, every time he's spoken, it seems very calm, very rational, very sincere. And do you know what? When you actually look at what if you've been following this Iran war and how it's been playing out, and then you sort of compare that to what Professor Miranda's been saying, I think more often than not, things are aligning with what he's saying. So I think people should what I'm trying to say is you have to be very selective with the sources that you're going to listen to get your news from. But I do believe that everything that he's been saying about Iran, everything he's been saying about America is true. He talks about the Zionist control media, that's correct. He talks about how the West are full of hypocrites, which is true. And I think people should put more time away into people like Professor Miranda, and just don't take anybody's word at fact. You should always do your own research and fact check what I've said, fact check what Suleiman says, fact check what we all said, because no one can be in this situation. In my opinion, nobody can be trusted. I mean, I do trust Suleiman, but you get what I'm trying to say. But I'll finish there. But Mikey, you had a question for me, Mikey?
Oh my God! Now he doesn't speak.
No,
Mikey.
I'm here. Sorry, no, I had my headphones on. That was great. What you just said, it was very, very informative. It almost like confused me because you made a assumption a while ago, but then and I don't mean to be rude because I know that you're probably ignorant to the situation, but you made like a very 2-minute speech about I don't know what the hell what that was, what you just said, but you said something earlier that was completely rude, but and false, by the way, false, completely false, logically
Can
false.
you let me know what it was?
Hold on, you were saying it. Hold on, excuse me. You were saying it was like a genocide or something. What was the?
I didn't mention the word genocide once in that entire speech, but please carry on.
What was the assumption that you made? Because I interrupted you.
I don't know. You're
Okay.
telling me that I made an assumption, and now you're asking me what the assumption was.
I am, because you know why? I listened to you for about 3 minutes.
Okay.
3 or 4 minutes.
Mikey, wait. All right, wait, Mikey, let me just bring some order here. Don't assume that Johnny's ignorant. Johnny's not ignorant. Johnny has been on this journey since the beginning of the genocide. He's spoken about it. He knows. Now, because you've been listening to him so carefully, but you can't remember what he said, Johnny, he was talking about Lebanon because you said that basically what Israel's doing to Lebanon, and Mikey assumed it was just hitting terrorists in Lebanon. Mikey, that was the point, right? So because you listened so carefully, I
100%.
thought
Thank
I'd
you
just
so
remind you,
much. You're
Mikey.
100% correct. Thank you for, yes. I'm sorry. Let me just say one thing. I'm
Mikey,
sorry. I
listen
lost.
to me. So you've got a boyfriend on that submarine, correct?
I'm sorry. What's the question?
You've got a boyfriend on that submarine, correct?
Yes, I do.
Right, and I'm assuming you love your boyfriend, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's just say your boyfriend was in a load of flats, right, with a few friends around, right, and a few they had a family day. You know, maybe it was a birthday. Maybe it was your boyfriend's birthday. You had all family around and kids were there, right? But there was one terrorist in bottom of this block of flats, right? But your family was at top floor of this flats. Would you think it would be acceptable for you to get the news that your boyfriend and his entire family is being destroyed and blown to pieces because of one terrorist at the bottom of alleged terrorist was at the bottom of them flats? Would you accept that?
Absolutely. By the way,
What?
Yorkshire, yes, absolutely.
So
I
let me
support my
get this
country,
wait.
absolutely.
Let me get this right. I need to repeat. Maybe I'm losing my marbles here, right? If there's
You're
a
not
block of
losing your marbles. No, you're not. No, you're
flats,
not.
right?
No, you're not.
One second. So there's a block of flats, right? Your boyfriend and his entire family, including children. Let's just say there's a
By the way,
conversation.
we're gay. We don't have children, bro. We don't have
Mikey.
children.
I've got friends that are gay. We still have Are you even from this world?
Also, by the way, when was the last fucking submarine accident? By the way,
No,
just
you're
so
missing the
everyone
point.
knows, there has never been one.
I've used my powers and I've transported your boyfriend from his sweet and safe
What
submarine.
is your point, by the way, sir?
Stop,
Yorkshire,
Mikey, please
Yorkshire.
stop doing
What
what I'm
is your
saying.
point?
Listen, God gave you two ears and one mouth for a
I'm
reason.
listening.
Listen, no, you're not. You keep interrupting me.
Okay,
I'll
Yorkshire.
repeat the
Sorry.
scenario again because maybe you didn't hear me clearly first time, right?
Okay, Yorkshire, go ahead.
Your boyfriend has used this. I've used my special powers, yeah, that I've got with him, that God has bestowed on me, and I've transported your boyfriend from a safe submarine to a block of flats in Lebanon today, right?
Why are you obsessed with my boyfriend?
Jesus Christ! You're not. Do you know what, Suleiman? I give up.
All right, thanks, Yorkshire. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Okay, Mikey.
If you're asking
Okay,
if
Mikey,
there's a
I'm dropping you.
problem where evidently my
Mikey, I'm dropping you. You're not having a civilized conversation. Like, this is just crazy. Like, you can't be this low IQ. Like, if you can't even have a conversation with someone, I think he asked you a very good.
It's crazy right now.
You
Come
are
on, that's
crazy.
ridiculous.
Yeah, you are. He asked you a very logical thought experiment, and you didn't even understand it. It's just wasting my time.
That was not a thought experiment, bro.
Okay, he's getting dropped. Let me go to Cyrus. I'm not having the quality of spit drop. Let's go to Cyrus. Cyrus, thanks for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Give us your thoughts about all the breaking news that we've been speaking about.
Hi, Suleiman. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, Cyrus, just to add to that, you remember you don't believe there's going to be a war, right? So go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to start off there. Great interviews, by the way, all around. All three were excellent, on point. And I love the nuances in between the messages, the very competent speakers you bring purvey to your audience. So, yeah, I maintain I maintain my position that I don't think we're going to see full-on hostilities. Skirmishes may occur. With respect to the submarine, I think it's exactly what Andrew said. It's, they probably could use a, resupply of food or whatever they need, minor maintenance, and at the same time, it's a show of force. It serves two purposes. So, and it's a boomer. It's a Trident. It's a Trident submarine, an Ohio class. So, actually, 4 of those submarines were outfitted to carry out Tomahawk attack missiles. They carry like 140 plus, but this is not one of those 4. This is the Alaska. This ship is designated as the Alaska, and it is indeed a boomer. So this is and the Port of Gibraltar, as Andrew mentioned, is one of the few bases. Given that it's a British base, the Brits are, after the United States, arguably they have the best navy. So and they have the same culture, same TTPs and protocols. So this makes sense. This is not huge news, but I think certainly, Trump, knowing his style of saber rattling, is using an opportunity to kill birds with one stone. Resupply. But these ships, as far as OSINT goes, I know Andrew, given his former sensitive position. Can't speak on any details. These ships at least can stay under water for 6 months. The Ohio class specifically, they're larger than the Los Angeles class. So, this is, they could have probably made it through. Trump was like, hey, we're going to make a smooth resupply and show of force, to continue his end of civilization threat. To remind everybody, hey, we have that capability. Outside of that, I just think we've climbed all the way up to the top of the escalation ladder, and Iran is playing it very sensibly. One of my favorite things that came out of all these interviews, one of the things that stuck out to me, was Dmitry when he mentioned Iran has positioned itself so it doesn't seem like the bad guy. They gave an off ramp 2 weeks ago, and today they reasserted that in a very clear, plain English way. Hey, we want to open the Strait of Hormuz. No preconditions. That's huge. That is, so Iran is not inflexible, right? They don't want, that shows Iran is doing everything it can, although it doesn't have to, right? Iran can continue on for 6 months to a year and force the global economy to crash. But what are they doing? No. Hey, America, lift your blockade. We're ready to do it. There's a disaster that's coming. And if you recall, on your spaces, maybe it was around 7 days ago to 8 days ago, I brought up India. The first signs were bubbling up with their refinery capacity, and India is a major downstream energy supplier. They have tremendous refining capability, and they export a lot of fuels, diesel and jet fuel and gasoline to Europe. So India today, actually it was early AM morning U.S. time. Prime Minister Modi announced that hey, people stop using so much natural gas and gasoline. Don't travel unnecessarily unless it's urgent. Don't get on a plane. So he's made a national kind of announced austerity measures for the entire country. This is huge. India is not just some random country. They are a major part of BRICS. They're a huge industrial power. India is a big deal. They are a middle power, as is Brazil. These are not small countries. So when this happens, this is a huge alarm bell going on for the international economy, right? So exactly what I've predicted. We're in an hourglass. The ripple effects are just starting to go, and the tidal wave hasn't even come yet, right? This is just the beginning. So in light of that, because we know all this, right? I just don't see Trump getting on a kamikaze plane and a pile driving right into the global economy. I just don't see him doing that. That's exactly what he would be doing. It's as if he's a Japanese pilot, just hopped up on some pep pills and board that kamikaze plane and go for that, global economy warship. That's what you're saying Trump is doing. To me, he's not. He's backed down before the last minute, as we witnessed in the ceasefire, as we witnessed in Project Freedom. Right? He goes to the very end, acting like he's going to end the whole thing and destroy everybody. And by the way, Pakistan politely asked us, please take a ceasefire. And I said, okay. Oh, Pakistan politely asked us, stop Project Freedom. Saudi also told us, America doesn't listen to anybody. This is because we are out of options. Trump does not have any more cards to play, and he's buying time. And today, the announcements that came yesterday and today from both the Iranian official negotiating team and Trump that essentially they are at an impasse. Right? They both announced it. This gives more credence to the fact that we're off ramping into a frozen conflict. And yes, I think there will be flashpoints. Ships boarded here, a couple of skirmishes here and there, but Iran will not get the sanctions relief it desires. The United States has taken a strategic loss. And
Crypto, Cyrus, did you see that recent interview with Netanyahu? I think it was. I saw it yesterday.
I did.
And he was talking about this very thing, and he was basically saying, I don't know if you've seen this. He was basically saying the war is not over, and we are basically going to go full throttle and get like we're either going there amicably and take out the uranium, or we're going there forcefully. But I'm paraphrasing. That's basically what he
I
said.
watched the whole interview.
What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so Israel is without the refueling support and strike packages in the United States. They do not pose that much of a forward, kinetic threat to Iran where they're going to, they can kill civilians, right? Iran's strategic assets are underground. That there's some U.S. experts saying even a tactical nuclear attack will not take out these facilities, let alone a couple F-15s, with 2,000-pound bombs. It's like firecrackers going off, right? It's not going to do anything, right? So Israel's a nobody. They're a country of 9 million people. They have a decent air force. That's all they can do is drop bombs on civilians and whatever targets they see from there. That's what they're good at. They're a one-trick pony, right? And the U.S. has, at least verbally a couple times chastised them. Yes, they have a lot of undue influence, especially under this administration, and they control a lot with respect to our foreign policy in the Middle East specifically. But when push comes to shove, the United States still is at the in the driver's seat. Although Israel puts their hand on the steering wheel and drags us here and there. But when it comes to the global economy crashing, this is a big deal. This is a suicide mission. We're not going to let some messianic lunatics that are trying to usher in their messiah run the world into the ground. It's just nonsense. So for me, there's just the gears in the machine, and the U.S. Deep state will not allow this to happen. They are ultimately rational actors. Otherwise, they'll be like the Taliban, right? They're not the Taliban. We got really smart Ivy League people in the middle levels of government, and they see all the analysis. They would be speaking to us exactly how most of Suleiman's guests speak, right? That they're realists. So I just don't see us taking a nosedive and plummeting the global economy. You see it. I mean, listen to what India's saying. Listen to what South Korea's saying. They are trembling. They are freaking out, right? They're trying to maintain composure, and this is a big deal. These are major economies, right? And it's just the beginning. We're not going to allow this to happen. I just don't see Trump wanting that legacy. I just don't see the deep state actors allowing this. The stock market would crash.
Bro, but so I'll always like your commentary, but like, bro, we're doing everything we can to like not extricate ourselves. We're doing everything we can to get deeper in.
Yeah, we would have done it already, Gary. We would have already done Iran.
Yeah, you don't do anything unless you have all your fucking ammo in place. I think that's what they've been doing, bro.
We just have no more cards to play except hit Iranian infrastructure, right? The only thing they can.
Yeah, but he's a bluffer, bro. These people are bluffers. Haven't you figured that out?
I mean, Trump is a bluffer. Yeah, exactly.
If you learn from a negotiator anything, okay, if you bluff once, you bluff twice. Never bluff. And if you do bluff, fucking carry through.
Yep.
But he's bluffed so many times now. Like I don't think our administration has much credibility here.
They have zero.
If I'm
they have
being
zero
really
credibility.
agnostic. Huh?
They have zero. They have zero credibility. I don't listen to. I
the
make my
only way he can
assertions.
get that back.
Then it doesn't end, dude.
There's only one way he can get the credibility back, and that is to bomb Iran.
Totally.
The other point you mentioned is that it wouldn't plunge the world into a global recession. Have you checked diesel prices lately? Like, have you actually looked at what people are paying at the pump? Like, everyone's like, especially the working class people. Like, I am literally suffering.
100%.
As are other people too.
And who's doing that to you? It's Iran.
That's not
true. That's just Trump doing it.
I just
explained Iran.
Iran they were minding their own business.
Iran.
That's some great mental gymnastics. Is that? That's great.
Iran unconditionally offered to open the Strait of Hormuz. How's it Iran's fault? Yeah, they did. Go read the news.
Iran has never ever offered to unconditionally or to open the Strait of Hormuz.
They did.
Wait, before a bullet or bomb was fired, right? One second, Cyrus,
I know they didn't for a fact.
1 second, before a bomb was fired or before a bullet was fired, whatever, right? Everything was good. The Strait of Hormuz was open. Diesel prices where I live were £1.33 at the time. They're now £1.85. That was before Israel attacked Iran. When Israel attacked Iran and America joined them, that's when Iran took countermeasures and closed the Strait of Hormuz. So how are you all responsible for
closed the Strait of Hormuz? Thanks for admitting that.
Yeah, but why? Why?
Yeah, I don't care what their motive was. The fact is, they're the ones doing it. They're the reason that you have to pay more for gas. I hope you enjoy paying more for gas.
It's a response to being attacked.
Mancos, check the purple pill. I just posted it. You're the liar, by the way, Mancos. I just posted in a purple pill. Iran did offer.
I am not the liar, but I'll go ahead and look at this nonsense that you're claiming.
Mancos, you've been in this space for more than a month. Right, and you've heard consensus be established that Iran closed the straits only because they were attacked. So I'm sorry if you or others don't like the way in which Iran is responding to being illegally and unconstitutionally attacked by America and its proxy, Israel. But the fact is, they do not have the blame for where we are economically. They're taking advantage of a really stupid move by America and this president, Trump. Period. There's the responsibility right
so
there.
if I have an
Broken
affair, hold on. If
promises,
you get married
broken
and I have an affair
promises,
with your wife,
broken
and then you respond by
promises.
shooting her, am I
No, look,
responsible for you
broken
shooting her?
promises from a president, the no new wars president. Okay, this is not supported by the American people. We are the ones suffering. Foreclosures in America of real estate or residential properties are up 25% year over year. There are now more sellers than buyers in markets like Los Angeles and New York. The economy we are already in a recession. And if it was accurately reported, I believe there's a strong basis to say that we're in a depression. So excuse me with this blame game and finger pointing about what Iran is doing and who closed the straits. Okay? America closed the straits.
Mancos, let me ask you a
Our
question.
actions.
Let me ask you a question. If I punch you in a pub and then you punch me back and I get a broken nose, whose fault is it that I've got a broken nose? Me or you?
Yeah, see, that's not the analogy that works. If I punch you in the face and you turn around and shoot the bartender, whose fault is it that you shot the bartender?
What? That's literally. Do you know what? I give up, man.
The Strait of Hormuz is not America. America is actually a very, very, very tiny part of whatever trade goes to the Strait of Hormuz. So what happens is America and Israel attack Iran, and then Iran.
That's why they had 27 bases around the area. That's why they had 27 bases around the area. That's why we spent $1 trillion destroying Iraq. Okay, this is America's pond, and we're losing it because of Trump. We are losing the economic benefits from the space that we've built up over 40 years.
Yeah,
no American interest in the Strait. Are you kidding me?
I love this version of that.
If I may intercede, the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz is illegal according to international law.
If Iran was just attacking American and Israeli ships, then fine, that's fair game. Go ahead. But that's not what they did. They attacked Chinese.
They can attack every one of the American proxy states.
How does
Saudi Arabia, the UAE, all of them are controlled by America.
I let you talk.
They trade in dollars. They trade in dollars. If you want to talk,
you petrodollar
is key. The petrodollar is key to holding the Straits of Hormuz. All right, quit talking like you're a fucking moron.
Are you so far up Trump's ass?
Cool. Okay, so you're done, Doc? Now that I'm done talking, you stop talking. So I'll say what I had to say, which is that the last ship that Iran attacked was a Chinese ship. They boarded a Chinese ship. How do you think that boarding a Chinese ship is somehow showing that Israel and America are the ones that are the victim of that attack? It's not. America attacks Iran, and then Iran turn around and attacks other countries that have nothing to do with America.
What?
If I may intercede 1 moment, there's two things. The blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, according to international law, and an expert on straits out of Norway has written an article about this. It is legal, according to international law, to impose a blockade when you're in a state of war. And additionally, if the United States is offering to escort ships,
not on third party,
that's Iranian territory. It's Iranian territory. But second of all,
there are no innocent parties.
The Strait of Hormuz has never been Iranian territory under any international law anywhere.
It is now, thanks to Trump. It is now Iranian territory, thanks to Trump.
It's not Iranian territory, Doc. Can the Iranian boats operate freely there? Do they control it? No, they don't. they get destroyed every day by our
They
aircraft.
control it with missiles
Yeah,
and
we've been
drones.
showing
They
videos of that.
control it,
No, that's not what
obviously,
they're
because
only
the
controlling,
kill
straits are
civilians.
Mango.
There has
closed.
not been
Controlling
one
the
footage of any
United
Quod
States so you're
ergo
able to use
sum.
it yourself. Iran is not able to use the Strait
Hey,
of
Mancos,
Hormuz
you didn't
itself.
reply to that article. I showed you
They
the
don't
truth.
need to
You're
use it
exposed
Hey,
right
as a
Kill
Cyrus,
now.
the
liar.
Cyrus,
Iranian
You're a liar,
ships.
I cannot
Mancos.
read your mind, Cyrus. Is the Axios link, is that what you're talking about? Because
Just one
there's
second,
nothing
It's
just
on
one
the
all
second,
over.
one
post
They've
that
second,
given
says
guys,
that
guys,
that's
multiple.
what
guys,
it is.
guys, just one second, right? What was Iran to do? America was bombing civilians. They were carpet bombing Tehran, right?
I mean, no, we weren't actually.
One second. America's got air superiority as Israel. We all know that, right? I mean, Iran's very limited in its options that it can do. Yes, it's got a lot of missiles and bombs, right? But in terms of hurting America or like trying to put some like constraints on America to ward them off, what were they to do? Do you think they wanted to like sort of hold the world to ransom? You think they wanted to do that? That they did that because America, like they were literally bombing civilians. The second, I think it was the second day, and I said this before. The second in, they bombed a girls' school and they killed 150 girls. So
Why
that
do you
clearly
guys
tells
bring that
Iran.
up every time? Like, it's
But
literally the
it's very
one
Why?
relevant.
thing that
It's
you
very
guys
Bro,
always
relevant.
bring
Mancos,
up.
why?
It's like an endless,
That's
it's a
Would
very
broken
relevant.
record. You never stop bringing
broken
it up.
Mango,
record?
what about
Broken
what about the
record?
American
I'll bring
blockade?
up
What about the
3,000 more
American
civilians
blockade,
too.
It's
Mango?
been
Not
like
only the
6
170
weeks,
kids,
and
but
that's the
3,000 more
only thing you
civilians
guys
too.
talk about is that one time a girl's school got blown up because the Iranians
Oh,
Okay,
put it
right.
guys,
on
I
an
guess, I guess it's, I guess,
IRGC.
1 second, guys. There's too many people talking. I think it's a worthy conversation to have, but I feel like everyone's screaming and we're not getting anything out of this.
Can I say my point calmly,
One
Suleiman?
second, let me just read this, please.
Okay.
There's John Alexander. Thank you for your level 1 membership. Appreciate becoming a member of the community. Chevelle, diesel is $7 a gallon today in north central Indiana. Mohammed Jama, thank you, Doc. America closed the strait. Mango is a Mossad agent with these talking points. Those are the superchats. Now, in terms of coming back to, I'm going to give the mic to Johnny. But just before I do this, a few key elements I just heard, and I just want to make some points and then give it straight back to Johnny. The first thing is, the girls' school isn't the only incident where the United States of America and Israel have bombed a school and killed children. It's happened actually many times in Iran in the first 39 days. The reason people mention the girls' school is because it was such a large-scale attack on the very first day, killing so many children, that it's quite shocking that something like that happened. And so that's like an example of this lack of humanity when it comes to conducting warfare. The second part is in terms of closing the strait. So everyone on the panel is quite right. The strait was closed because America attacked Iran. But the second element of it is that there was an agreement that the strait was going to open. The strait was going to open. Iran was going to open the strait and put a toll on it. And then, so that would have been completely open, an open strait. People could have navigated through it. They just need to follow the rules. And then the next day, I believe it was the next day or the day after, America put the blockade in. So there was a point where the strait was opened completely with the tolls, and America put the blockade in. So Cyrus is right about that. So there's still 2 or 3 important elements that I wanted to mention. But go ahead, Johnny.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and
I
real
want to
quick,
say,
a toll is not an open strait. If you
I want
put
to
a
say
toll,
calmly.
you're
Okay, but
basically saying if you don't pay the toll, I
there
will
was a
shoot you.
toll. That's going to be the strait from now on. Is always going to have a toll. But the point is, the strait was open for anybody to navigate as long as they pay the toll. The only reason ships are not getting out, and actually 250 ships are getting out, but the entirety of the ships not getting out, this new functioning process not occurring properly, is because of the US blockade. So the reason there is, and so what's happening now is every country that wants to get through has to speak to the US, has to speak to Iran, has to then get approval, and then all these other things are happening, and that has caused a bottleneck where countries aren't getting out. So for example, Qatar, there was an LNG that went through 2 days ago, but today they tried to go through another different LNG and it wasn't allowed through. So this is what's happening in the strait. The strait is closed for that reason. So the point becomes, if America removes this blockade, the strait will open. So the blockade is the reason the strait isn't open. But sorry, go ahead, Johnny.
Thank
Can I
you.
say one thing real quick, 20 seconds before Johnny goes? Iran very recently just offered in the last couple of days, yesterday they reiterated it, they're unconditionally no tolls are willing to open the straits to go into longer negotiations with the United States. So exactly what I predicted. Iran is offering
Cyrus,
for
I just read
if
your link and it doesn't say that at all. It does
that's what it
not say
says.
that
There,
at
there
the
are direct
Axios, which I
statements.
don't even, I thought you guys
Cyrus,
didn't like Axios, but it doesn't say
Cyrus,
that in your Axios
That's
article at
exactly
all.
what it says. Read it.
so,
No,
just 1 second,
you
right?
quote it to me, Cyrus.
Yeah.
You read it, and I will look and see if your words match the article. So go ahead and read it right now, the sentence that says what you're saying is true, because I searched on Hormuz and I read everything it read about Hormuz and doesn't say that.
You need to put on your reading glasses. It's all over. Iran has said in order to maintain the stability of the global
No, Cyrus.
markets,
No,
they are
Cyrus.
willing.
We
They're
don't play
willing to
that
open.
game.
They're
You
willing to
don't
open the
point to a
straits.
haystack.
They're
Excuse me,
opening the
Cyrus. You
strait.
don't
They're
point to
willing
a
to. It
haystack
says it
and
all.
tell me I need to find the needle. You open up the article, you quote the language that supports your point. That's how you cite a source. Go ahead.
There are Iranian officials go on their Twitter. They said we are offering to open the straits and go
Then
into
link
longer
their
negotiations.
tweets,
This is the
okay?
truth.
Because you said this Axios article was your source, and I just looked at it, and I know for a fact that it is not. So if you are now pivoting and saying it's a different source, then go ahead and link that.
It in the article it says what I've said, and amongst
No,
other
it
articles.
doesn't.
So
Quote it.
you listen to Fox News. That's
Quote it.
what your problem is. Your
No,
issue is
quote it,
your
Cyrus.
single
I read
source
the
of news is
article. It
Fox News.
doesn't say that. So quote it. Quote the
I'm not
part
here to
that
give you
says
free
what you
I'm not
say
here to
it
give you
says.
free education. You can do your own research, but
No, that's
you're
not. So
spewing
you're lying. I
propaganda.
just exposed you as a liar. You put a fake link that doesn't say anything to
Go
back
read
you
it.
up, and
Go
you made
read
a
it.
blatant lie. I did read it, Cyrus. I read it 2 or 3 times, and it doesn't
So,
say anything that backs you up. You are a liar. You have been exposed yet
okay.
again.
I mean, I think that's a bit rich coming from you, Marcus, but I digress. Quite clear there's just some people that have got principles and some people that just don't have any principles. Some people are consistent, some people are not consistent. For example, me, Solomon, Beatrix, we don't agree with killing children, period. I don't care whether you're black, white, Muslim, Sikh, Hindu, facts, I don't care where you come from. I do not agree with killing children, period, across the board, right? Simple and straightforward as that, right? As grown ass adults in this world, our first duty on this world, whether you're a father or mother or you're not, is our protection of children. Period. That's our first rule of order every single day. Make sure children in your care or in the vicinity of your care are safe. And that goes for Iranian children too, and Israeli children and Palestinian children and any other child, right? The fact that on the first day or the second day, they thought it was okay to drop a bomb on a girls' school that did nothing wrong. Did nothing wrong. What did them girls do wrong? Nothing. Or they went to school that day with a lunchbox, right? And unfortunately they never came home. And that's
Hey, do you think
destroyed
it was on
over
purpose?
150.
Do you think
Please don't
Trump
interrupt me.
ordered those girls dead? Do you think he did it on
Yes,
purpose?
yeah, I do. I think when it comes to, listen, we've got a history of America's bloodshed. There's millions and millions of victims in their graves telling us that America and Israel have got no problem killing children.
I
Listen,
mean,
I have a moral
I don't
compass.
know
Bring
of
kids.
any prior examples of the
One
U.S.
second, one
ever
second.
intentionally targeting to kill
Mancos, one
children,
second.
but go ahead.
Mancos, 1 second, please.
Trump threatened them. Trump threatened Iranian
Guys,
universities. He bombed
please let
the.
me finish what I'm saying. Please.
Sorry,
Thank you.
Johnny.
I would appreciate it. I try to do the same courtesy for other people. I'm not perfect, but I'll try my best to, right? We have to have we have to be consistent, and we have to have principles, and we have to have morals, right? It is never morally acceptable, whether it's an accident or not, to bomb a church, a girls' school. And this was a Tomahawk missile that have specific coordinates put into it, right? These are guided missiles. That was no, and by the way, it was a double tap as well. There was a double tap. So, well, if maybe if it was one, I could maybe hear the accident argument. But to hit it twice, that's not an accident. That is planned. That is coordinated. That is sanctioned. That's what that was. And then to compound that, they start carpet bombing Tehran. That's a densely populated area, and you're still supporting Donald Trump. Well, I don't understand you people. I don't.
Wait, by the way, it wasn't in Tehran. It was in some southern coastal city.
Tehran's been carpet bombed. Tehran has been carpet bombed by America and Israel. They have
Yeah,
got
that
no.
makes a difference, man. Coach makes a difference.
It makes a
Yeah,
massive
not
difference
I
totally.
because
mean, you have to correct
all you
things when
people,
people say the wrong thing. Yeah.
1 second. We got sold. Well, not pure. I didn't buy anything, right? But they tried to sell this water to the public by saying we're going to liberate the Iranian women, the Iranian people. As they tried to instigate an uprising. You liberate. I wonder how the mothers and fathers feel about this liberation with all the children dead. I wonder how they feel about that. I wonder how the people of Tehran feel about that. What about how, where's your principles? Where are
So
they?
do you think the U.S. tried to kill children, or are you just
Absolutely,
using
yes, I
this as an
do. Yes, I
emotional
do.
argument to try to put America on the
Listen,
defensive,
I'm
like
not.
morally?
Listen. Even though there's emotion into it, of course there's, but I'm not using it as. I'm not. That's not why I'm using it. I'm talking about your principles. Where's your principles? Where are they? as a man of
Yeah, I
this
mean, I
world,
have a principle. It's called
how are you,
not
how are you
wanting Iran
close?
to have nuclear weapons.
No, but
How's that
no,
for a
listen.
principle?
You are defending Donald Trump or Netanyahu. The buck stops with them. You are defending these two absolute monsters that have literally decimated Iran, decimated Lebanon, decimated Palestine. Like, when's enough blood for you?
I mean, they haven't decimated Iran. That's the whole point.
How
If
many
they
children have
decimated
got to be fucked?
Iran,
1 second.
then Iran
How many
wouldn't be closing
children?
the Strait of Hormuz.
1 second. How many children is enough children that have got to die before you say, you know what, Trump, you've done enough. I'm walking away from you. How many?
You know, I don't think Trump tried to kill any children on purpose, but if Iran puts a school on a military base like they did, which was a very bad idea for them, then sometimes accidents are going to happen in war.
This is not an anomaly, though. America's got form for doing this, as has
It is an
Israel.
anomaly, which is why it gets brought up like every
another
single
lie,
day,
another
even
lie,
though there
man,
were
because it was not on a
13,000
military base.
primary targets.
It was 500
All
meters
you
away.
have realised, right?
Man,
All you have,
Coast.
Marcus, right? One sec, Cyrus. One sec.
1 second. I want
It
Cyrus
was not on a military base.
Yeah, I want Cyrus to debunk this point. Go ahead, Cyrus.
Yeah, so Mancos, it was not on a military base. It was half a kilometer away, one, and it was
No,
Pete.
that's wrong.
Hold on,
You don't know what you're talking about,
don't.
Cyrus.
Hey, you can look it up. Hey, don't interrupt me. By the way, I put.
Look it
Post
up.
your source,
Hey,
man.
don't interrupt
I
me,
had
Post your
man.
lengthy
source.
conversations
Don't interrupt me.
about
Let me
this before you
debunk it,
even
then you
came
can
on
try
the
to counter
space.
it.
And
Hey,
I
don't
showed satellite photos and everything, and we all.
Okay, guys, as the representative for our Moral Resistance YouTube community, this is a horrible listening experience for them when there's multiple voices because it really doesn't come across well on YouTube. So if we can let Cyrus finish his point, then Manco, you can respond to it. See, this is what happens. If there was only chicks on this space, it will all be orderly. But when there's just guys on the space, this is what they do. But anyway, go ahead, Cyrus, then we go to
Thank you,
Manco.
Beatrice. So it's very clear. It was half a kilometer away from the base. One, Pete Hegseth, on the onset of the war, literally lined up all the key generals and said, "Hey, forget the Geneva Conventions. We're not going to do pre-targeting analysis. We're not going to double check anything." They went on maps that were 10 years old, right? So they double tapped a school full of children, and their parents showed up after the first strike, and they wanted to save the little girls. And the second one had a thermobaric effect because the new versions of Tomahawk, they used the remaining fuel to aerosolize it and create devastation. Those kids literally burned to death, and it gets people emotional thinking about it. I'm equally hurt by that, but what I also think about is the other 3,000 civilians that have died. Israel took out an entire apartment block, killing 100 Iranian civilians to take out one university professor that was a physics professor. All right, so that's the kind of war they're waging. Every day we're committing war crimes. The American people have to be drugged through the sewers of history and getting a bad reputation. Americans aren't bad people, but our government's is being run and influenced by little demons. You know, that literally are, there's a potential of them sacrificing children. There's some evidence of that. I mean, if that's not alarming, I don't know what is, right? So back to the earlier point, I did send another Associated Press article. Iran has made it very clear they're ready to open their side of the blockade, enter longer-term negotiations on the 14 points. And if America agrees on the 14 points, there's no toll. Iran doesn't want a toll. Iran, the Strait of Hormuz has been in business, open for business since the Portuguese ran it 500 years ago. It's never been contested since for 500 years. So any notion that Iran has closed the strait is lunacy. America started the war. Although the strait is closed right now, Iran is offering the olive branch. Hey, let's go talk like sensible people. But America has their maximalist position. Nope, you don't get to enter you can't use your currency. You can't be in the SWIFT system. You can't export your oil. You can't import critical goods. You can't import pharmaceuticals, right? So America is trying to kill the country, turn it into a disaster. That's why we witnessed the protests. They were all because people are under hardship because of draconian, illegal, unethical sanctions that on multiple levels are wrong, and they serve to the disservice of the United States. It benefits the United States to be friendly with Iran. It benefits the United States to be friendly with Russia. It benefits the United States and Israel for the U.S. to check Israel, be like, hey, if you keep slaughtering and genociding people, we will ostracize you. We will sanction you. We're going to do to you what we did to Iran. Who deserves sanctions is Israel, not Iran. Our misguided policy has led us down this path. The global economy is on the brink. It's on the precipice. The writing's on the wall. Look at what's happening in India. Look at what their prime minister is saying. This is a big deal. I think Trump will back down. He's going to wait till the last second. I think he's going to go to China, Suleiman, and he's going to come back on the behest of China, our dear trading partners that we're at the same time at economic war with, and Pakistan and Britain. They all urging me
say one point,
They're
Cyrus.
urging me to stop this war, so Trump will back down. You know, that's what's gonna.
Just want to say one point. You see, Doc, right? We all know Doc,
No,
right? This is why
listen,
I
you
vote. This
can't
is why.
jump
One
in
second,
because I have to be able to respond. And if you jump in,
go on
it
then.
just
Go on
gets
then. Go on then. Go
sidetracked
on
and it
then.
never
Go on
gets
then.
back.
Just before you respond, Manko, let me just read this super chat. It's relevant to the conversation. The Cool said, watching Americans debate about opening the Strait of Hormuz is the funniest thing ever. The Strait was open and toll-free before you started the war. When America targeted Anwar al-Awlaki's little daughters and drone striked his teenage sons, was that also an accident, Manko? Okay, back to you, Manko.
Yeah, so I don't know why Cyrus would lie about the IRGC base when anyone, like, I just typed IRGC base girls school into Google and tons of articles came up from the BBC, NPR, CNN, and then this one's Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera, they all have satellite photos. This is like a well-known thing. We've discussed it on the base on the space before, and it's a large rectangular, well, it's not large, it's like the size of a city block in the middle of a city. It's a rectangular base. There's lots of satellite photos of it. The area that became the girls' school was not a girls' school until 2016. Before that, it was part of the base. You can see in the satellite photos that there is an outer wall around the entire base, which includes that sort of upper corner. And that was converted into a school in 2016. And that's what happened. So it looks like from the outside that it's all still part of the same facility. The stuff around it doesn't match. It's not like it blends in. It is a very distinct compound. So, and the outer wall of the military base still surrounds the school. So it's something that obviously was a mistake. It was not intentional. If the people who planned out the thousands of targets knew that that was a girls' school, they wouldn't have tasked weapons to hit that specific building. But it's something that can easily get missed when you're going through many, many, many targets. And that's what happened. And they never should have converted part of an IRGC military base, knowing that they would be like very high priority targets in any kind of war, into a school, because that would
What the
obviously
fuck?
lead to a high
So,
risk
so,
of
so,
collateral. You know what?
so
Spare me.
Marcus.
Spare me. I
So,
don't
so
need you to be
Marcus.
like, oh my God, what the fuck? Because you guys are having like this emotional reaction. Iran
Yes,
bears a
May,
great deal of the
may I?
responsibility for
but
why
of
it
course we're
happened.
gonna be, but Mancos,
But
of
that's
course
one
we're gonna
point.
be
Hold on. You
one
don't need to
second.
interrupt me. You know what? I let Cyrus speak, so shut up for a second. So on to the second point, which is the Strait
I
of
mean, you literally
Hormuz.
interrupted me. We can do that again if you want.
Excuse me, if Iran is going to be charging tolls, that is definitionally not an open Strait of Hormuz, because it means that if anyone doesn't want to pay the toll, their ship is going to be attacked by the IRGC, which is not what an open strait means. You have to be able to have free passage. That's what an open strait is. Iran is in the position right now where they're essentially like a bank robber who's broken into a bank and taken hostages. And some people are willing to pay money to get some of the hostages out of the bank. And the bank robber now thinks that because some people are willing to pay some money to get some of the hostages out of the bank, that means the bank robber now owns the bank in perpetuity and is just going to be running the bank forever. That's insane. Nobody's going to allow that to happen. The fact that the IRGC is temporarily, sometimes in rare cases, getting some money to extort out of people because they don't want to get shot at is a very temporary state of affairs. It's never going to survive the war. It's never going to last. I guarantee you, I don't know how much longer Trump's going to drag out the war, but even if he drags it out months, you're never going to end up with an end state where Iran is able to hold all of the shipping for all of the Gulf nations hostage. Like, if they were going to do that, and even if Trump backed down, the rest of the world would come up with some way to pressure Iran to back down.
We have
So
schools
let
on
me.
So
If
bases.
let
America
me
can,
just
how can the rest of the world do
respond.
it?
1 second. I'm just gonna respond to your points. So the first thing is, it is true. I think we mentioned it many times. Space that that girls' school up until 2016 was a military base, or it was used as part of it. But for 10 years, it hasn't been. And the United States of America struck that school. Now, there are many bases in the United States of America that are not too far away from civilian areas, and therefore your position is if someone was to attack America, that it would be fine to kill those civilians in those civilian bases and not too far away. And Washington, D.C., which has many intelligence apparatus in the area, means, according to your position, it would be okay to murder civilians. And it would just be, well, whoopsie daisy, you shouldn't have had it there in the first place. But obviously, there's rules of warfare and there's rules in what you do. And the issue with what the United States of America did is, I can say that the first one was an accident, it probably was. They either used AI or they used wherever to get that target. But they used a double tap. According to some reports, they used a triple tap. It means they hit it, they waited for people to congregate, they waited for children and their families to congregate, and then they hit her again. Which, again, we can never know if it was intentional or not. But, again, on the balances of probabilities, it's, I mean, I'm 50-50 whether they did it intentional or not, to be honest. But that being said, obviously, it shows their blasé method of doing it. I think the double tap and triple tap add more merit to the possibility that this was possibly intentional. And the fact that throughout Iran, they've targeted schools, they've targeted hospitals, they've targeted, this isn't the only school they've targeted, there's about 4 or 5 schools they've hit and targeted, and hit probably more actually. Stop counting now, 4 or 5. Many medical centers they've hit, many other places like that they've hit. So that position, so that just seems to suggest that this has just become a very Israeli mode of warfare where they're just carrying out attacks on basically innocent people as per whatever they want it. I'm just going to respond to the other points, but just before I do, I've got a super chats. The first one says, Ali says, it's not a mistake, or she said the same thing, it's not a mistake if it was double tapped and has been designated a civilian only area since 2016. Great point, Ali. The Cool says US sanctions in Iraq in the 90s, which led to the death of 500,000 children. Was that also an accident, Manco? How many more instances do you need? Remind Manco's US is starving out a population in Cuba at the same time as these strikes. So yes, they are killing kids. And the second point is about the Strait. So again, the Strait, because the claim was this, the claim isn't, is the Strait being conducted in the same manner it was before the war? Of course it's not. This has already been explained. The only reason the Strait was initially closed was because the US and Israel decided to partake in an illegal war against them. That's the sole reason the Strait is closed. But the claim was, which you made, wasn't that is there a toll, or is it open in the sense of the word open? Because we can argue semantics, which we did. For me, it's very open. It's like saying, is that museum open? Yes, it is. But guess what? You're going to pay admission fee to get in. I'm like, oh, no, but it's 9 to 5, it's closed. No, it's open. I just got to pay a fee. That means open. So even in that context, it's open. But okay, let's not argue semantics. Let's say whatever you want to call it. There's a toll now. But the point is, which was the claim, that the global economy is suffering because of Iran closing the Strait. And actually, it's quite clear that Iran opened the Strait. They said, you need to go through the Strait, you just need to pay a toll. Obviously, that would be a system. And because the US realized that, damn, this means it's over, like Iran completely controls the Strait, that they then put the blockade in. So they put the blockade in, and because of their blockade is the only reason the Strait is closed. So thank you, the United States of America, because that's actually the real reason the Strait is closed. AJ says the Strait is open if you pay the toll. Just the New Jersey Turnpike toll. It's not closed. You obey the rules and pay or face the consequences. Oh, brilliant! You said the exact same point I did. So yeah, I agree with you on that. So coming back to the point, so that was that. So the whole point is the global economy is suffering, and is solely suffering because of the United States of America's blockade. If the US removes the blockade, people pay a toll and they'll get through. So it's very simple that the only reason oil or different trade goods are not going in and out of the Strait is solely because of the US blockade. Things are getting through because obviously the blockade isn't working, but at the same time, because the US has got a blockade, not as many ships are going through, they're having to take a specific route, and various other things are happening. So anyway, that covers that. Johnny, what were you going to say?
If the toll worked, why are so few ships actually like availing themselves of it? Because it's been a very tiny number of ships that have actually paid the toll and gone through.
Not true.
Don't you think if it's actually working, that
That's
you
not true,
see
the Mancos.
some like serious traffic volume?
No. So there's two elements to it. So the traffic volume and who's paying this toll. So when ships are going through, I believe there's about 250 ships that are going through. All of the ships that isn't Iran themselves, so obviously Iranian ships are not going to pay tolls to themselves. Iran has a deal with China where they don't need to pay a toll. And what Iran is doing is partaking in statecraft where, depending on which country it is, what the deal is, they're making individual deals with those countries. So they're negotiating with Japan and South Korea and Pakistan and all these countries. So not all of them are like, oh, guess what, you got to pay 2 million, but they are going through the acceptance of Iran in the sense of they negotiate something with Iran, whether it's $2 million, whether it's something in the future, whether it's trade routes, other things, or whatever it may be. But there's some kind of larger negotiation that's going on, and then once that's accepted, they're going through. The reason we don't have a huge volume of ships going through is what is the point I'm making, that because of the US blockade, now what's happened is Iran's still saying only X number of ships are going to go, only these numbers going to go, ships are going to go through. You need to pay a toll. You need to have a negotiation with those, and even then you can only go. There's a specific routes they can only take because the US has a blockade on certain areas. You can't just go through. For example, where the US blockade is, the US blockade fails because they can't cover the entirety of it. So people are taking certain routes. So there's multiple reasons why we don't have a huge open blockade, and that is it. And also similar to what it was when Iran closed the strait, many of the ships obviously still don't want to go through because the US is also commandeering ships, and basically when US is actually murdering people on the strait as well. So that even when basically the risk before was Iran would take your ship out with the US, now it's actually US will murder you. So there's that additional factor, and you can make these excuses, Banco, but Iran has fired at ships on the Strait of Hormuz and not murdered anyone. The US has fired on ships in the strait and murdered people. So, and I think that just demonstrates the psychology of warfare when it comes to these two different states.
Wait, do you mean the Iran? Like, I don't think they've killed anyone on big ships. You mean just like the boats?
No, they bombed. No, not the speedboats. Two Iranian vessels were targeted, Iranian, and there were basically 5 people killed.
Which, yeah, I didn't see anyone talk about that. Is this when they were shooting at the steering gear or something like that?
I don't know what specific location within the ship was hit. I'm not going to just make it up because I just don't know. But in terms of what happened, they targeted the civilian ship. You can see it's not one of those fast boats, if that's what you mean.
Well, there were some big like tanker-like ships that were empty that were going back to Iran, and one of them got strafed by an F-18. And what they've been doing is they've been shooting above the area where the rudder is in order to take out the steering area. Normally, there aren't people located there, so. Are they saying in one of these attacks that there were people that
five
got
were
killed? Because
killed,
that's
and
not
I
what I
think 10
saw.
were injured. 5 were killed. I think up to 10 were injured. And it was the Iranian tanker, oil tanker, and 2 smaller Iranian vessels. These wooden transport ships that are like literally small businessmen owned got destroyed. Initially, the U.S. claimed it was speedboats. Later, it was confirmed it was just literally poor fishermen and merchants that got blown to pieces. So America is very good at killing civilians. We've learned that at least in this war.
So just to come in there, Donald Trump is a liar and a hypocrite. Like, he's just a liar and a hypocrite.
Thank
Simple and
you for that.
straightforward. So,
That was
one second,
riveting.
1 second. No, I'm not
Some
finished.
deep
Obviously,
thought.
I just cuffed Matt just to say that. Other, so just I didn't interrupt you. So please do me the same courtesy, right?
Yeah, but
He,
we're in the middle of a thing. So Suleiman,
no,
why did Iran board
no,
the
Marcos, Marcos,
Jingli,
you said what
the
you said, man.
Chinese Jingli ship, which carries Iranian oil? Like they boarded it and they attacked it, and that was the only ship they boarded recently. And it was a Chinese ship, and that's what it confused a lot of people because I thought the Chinese ships were okay with Iran.
Yeah, the Chinese ships are. In terms of that specific vessel, I'll have to look into it. I remember you. I think you may have sent me this, but I didn't have a chance. I didn't have a chance to like look into it in detail. I will look into that, but what that seems to suggest is there's no logical reason why they would attack a Chinese ship. So it's probably an error, but obviously I will look into it because it makes no sense because like it's almost like confirmed according to US intelligence that China is supporting Iran with a number of military assets, and Chinese oil is getting out and Iranian oil is getting out. So Iranian oil to China is getting out. So it's unlikely that they think, unless they're off, like it makes no sense that they would attack China. So Highly likely it was an accident, but obviously worth looking into.
There was, yeah,
Suleiman, I'll give you
someone
another
said that
possibility.
in the
There's an
article
Go
that
ahead,
said
Tyrus.
that experts
there's
were
another
saying
possibility,
that it might
Suleiman.
be because
What
of
is?
an internal dispute between like the owners of the ship and Iran. Like there are
It's nothing like
uh,
that.
commercial
No, that
disputes that
makes
Yeah,
happen
no
all the
sense.
time.
it's nothing like that. Suleiman, they could have been concerned that the U.S. will board it, and they boarded it to wait for the U.S. to come and to get into a gunfight with U.S. forces dropping off. That's a very real possibility.
That
Okay,
doesn't make any
cool.
sense,
Yeah.
Cyrus.
Yeah, it does. Yes, it does. They'll board the ship because it's a Chinese ship that's going through Iranian waters, or getting close to it. The U.S. would board it. That is a ship that's headed
The
to
U.S.
Iran
has
or having
generally
to do
not
with
been
Iran.
boarding those ships. It's been
They've boarded a couple ships, so it is a possibility Iran wanted to board it, physically get hands on it till it rides to wherever it goes.
Can I ask Mancos a question? Thank you. Hey, Mancos, been listening to, Sullivan Spaces for probably 4 years now, ever since he separated from the other guy. Anyway, with this, I want to get back to the tolls that Iran is opposing. Now, Iran was attacked by, us and Israel, and I think we were provoked by Israel under the summation that they were on the verge of nuclear weapons. This time last year, around June, actually, a report came out from 18 of our intelligence agencies, not nobody else, said Iran was not moving towards a nuclear weapon. This latest strike, okay, when Trump fired the missiles, okay, started the last one, 17 of our 18 intelligence agencies said, do not do this. Okay. Now, it just so happens that we got this country
Wait,
in the
how do
Middle
you
East.
know if that's all classified?
No, it came out. It was out. But you could easy
How?
Google, easy Google. I'm not going to start, just an
I
easy
mean, I'll
Google.
Google 17 of 18 intelligence
It,
agencies said
yeah.
don't go to war with Iran, but I guarantee you it's not going to give me any results.
Yeah. Well, Google the other results too, then, because you're not getting that. But Google the other results. It says 18 out of 18 says they're not moving towards a nuclear weapon. Okay. Now, number two, with the tolls. What is the reason why Iran is stating that they're putting the tolls up? I mean, is it a punishment? Is it I want to see if you know why. Okay, I mean, a reason. The reason why is they need a lot of rebuilding now after all the destruction we have done, and the other nations around the world are going to suffer because of the destructions we've done. They are now going to implement tolls so they can rebuild the lands and their infrastructure and everything we destroyed. I mean, that's a pretty reasonable request, correct? Mancos, I would say it's reasonable.
No, I
And
don't think
again,
it's reasonable to attack civilian shipping unless they pay you an extortion fee. No, I don't think that's reasonable.
we're turning around the reason why. Okay, I'm not going to go down that lane at the moment because we may reach agreement there, but the reason why. So we started this mess, and unprovoked, uh, and I'm as red blooded American as you, man. Let me tell you, don't think I'm some kind of anti-American commie. I voted for Trump 6 times, including my primary votes. I worked to get that man into office by running around my neighborhood on Pennsylvania winter nights, getting a petition signed so he could be on the ballot in Pennsylvania. I'm not just sitting on my couch here, and I'm very upset and disgusted that this man has folded this way. He ran on no new wars. Now you're sitting here doing backflips, and again, I'm from Philly. I get a soft pretzel. You twist up more than the soft pretzels I can buy off the street corner. What you do with your analogies and your things. I just find it again reasonable is why they're putting these tolls up is to say, hey, we need money to rebuild our land because these two fucking excuse the language, these two countries bombed the hell out of us. Okay, I mean that there you gotta at least admit that's reasonable.
The intelligence assessment
Hey,
from the
Hey,
the other
No,
issue,
agencies
it's
isn't
not.
broke
Do
or
you think
bill.
it's reasonable to rob a bank because you lost money for some
I'm
reason?
not
Like,
robbing a bank. We bomb. If the bank sat there and shot me first, and I go in and retaliate, says, "Give me your money." Yeah, that's the analogy you're giving me. If the banker came out
no, I
and put a
mean,
gun
the
to my head and
analogy
said, "Give me
is
your money,"
the United States and Israel attacked Iran. If Iran wanted to attack U.S. and Israeli shipping, then sure, yeah, that's part of war. But that's not what they did. They attacked Iraqi ships, Kuwaiti
But
ships,
Mancos,
Qatari
Mancos,
ships,
you don't
Bahrain
get
ships.
if you
They
attack
attacked
someone.
Chinese ships, Greek ships. They attacked everyone but us. We
But
had
Mancos,
multiple ships
Mancos,
in
if
the
you
in the Persian Gulf, and they never attacked our ships.
but Mancos, when you attack Iran, you don't get to dictate how they respond. How they respond is up to them, not up to you.
Like, okay, but they're attacking third parties. They're not attacking the people who are attacking them.
You know, I
So
gotta
if
ask.
I
Thank
punch
you.
you in the face and you turn around and you punch some totally other guy who just happens to be there, that has nothing to do with you and me. You can't just tell that guy, hey, it's that guy's fault because he punched me, so it made me mad. And he's kind of too big, so I didn't want to punch him back. But you're small, so I'm going to punch you. And then, like, I'm just gonna blame him. Like, that's why I did it, bro. Go be mad at him.
That's
That's
But
what
a
Iran
if
that's a
feels
if
like.
he was to
horrible
slap your little sister,
analogy.
if he was to slap your little sister,
The
if he was to
better
slap your little
analogy.
sister,
Okay.
that person would get the big guy and the little guy would get.
Okay. The better analogy is imagine a scenario where you've got a home and you've got your field and it's your field, but you've let everybody kind of use the field. You're like, whatever, bro. Like, everyone can use my field. This is like, everyone in the village can, everyone can use my field, no problem. So people are playing football there, people are playing cricket there, people are doing whatever they want in that field. And other people, when they have fields, they charge, right? But you're just, well, and some people do and some people don't. But I can charge if I want people to use my field, but I'm letting people use my field. And then what happens is a big bully comes and literally throws basically attacks my home, basically throws a grenade in there or something, or fires at it. And what you do is you say, look, flip, like, listen, we know you, and you destroy that bully. And then the next time you say to the bully, look, next time you come, you try something like that, I'm going to close the field off to everybody and no one's going to be able to use my field again. So this big bully comes, and this time he comes and this time he brings an even bigger bully, and both of them come together and they throw fire at your house. So what you do is you smash that bully up, you smash out all of his friends, because the bully was stationing in different places and he was using different people's homes to basically have foresight or oversight over you, and he's used all those different people's homes to attack you. So you're like, you know what, bully, I'm gonna smash you, which you do. You smash all the bully's friends' homes because the bully's operating from all them homes, and you smash the other bigger bully and all the homes he's operating from as well. And then what you do is you say, look, this field is also shut now. No one can use this field. This is completely shut. And then you say, look, now guys, you can use this field, but you got to pay me a toll. You got to pay me $2 to use this field. And anyone who tries to go through this field and you don't pay the $2, there's going to be consequences. And the consequences are you will be fired upon. But don't worry, we're not going to kill you because we're not like the big bully and the bigger bully. We're just going to fire at your equipment. We're not going to hurt you as an individual. We're not like the little bully and the big bully. If it was them, they'd murder you. Like they tried to murder, they actually, when they were shooting at my house, they killed some children as well. They killed, some of my nephew and nieces. And, this is what the little bully and the big bully did. And so you close the playground, this field. And then what happens is some people then decide, you know what, we're going to break the rules. So you say, look, you broke the rule. We're going to hit you and throw you out. Other people said, you know what, we're going to follow your rules. We're going to now, when we use your playground, we're going to pay. And so then they end up paying. And then what happens is the big bully says, actually now, and then you say, look, everyone can use this field now. New story. Everyone can use this field now. You just got to pay us £2. And then what happens is, and this is going to be completely open now. Forget, everyone needs to enjoy using this field. Everyone's going to use this field. And then the big bully comes and says, guess what? Actually, we're going to stop everyone getting out of this field. And you're like, okay, then the field is kind of closed again. So that's basically the right analogy to make in terms of this whole situation.
Suleiman, might I add
But how
something
does
to
that
that?
analogy work
Suleiman, can I add something to
when
that?
the field is not owned by Iran? Even under Iran's own words, at most it would be half Iran and half Oman. And Oman doesn't want to charge anyone tolls. So everyone would be able to leave without paying any of the Iranian tolls because they could just come through the southern half of
quick question.
Well,
strait.
they own about 60% or 70%, about 60% of the entire field, and the other 40% of the field, Oman. They said Oman can have an Oman. You like, you know what? You own the. You basically say, look, this is my field. People can use it. You say, look, now I've got this field, and guess what's gonna happen is any proceeds from this entire field, we're gonna give it to Oman, and we're gonna keep it ourselves. Even though Oman hasn't taken control over the field, you've done it yourself because you dominated the big bully and the small bully. Iran kind of remained neutral, whatever it may be. They kind of stayed out of it. They were basically Switzerland. But you're still saying, look, Oman's going to get that now. And Oman hasn't let anybody else use the area. That's a lie. The Americans made it look like that. And Oman said, actually, Oman basically, again, remained quiet. They were trying to not get involved because they want to remain neutral. So you're like, okay, cool. While Oman's remaining neutral, we're going to keep control of the entire field, because if the big bully and the small bully tries to use a bit of our field, or tries to get people to use a bit of our field, that's just going to cause problems to the entire field, because now there's a situation that we're creating, there's a system we're creating, and that system will just fail if they end up using it. That entire system won't work. So then they put that in, and that's what happens as well. So again, that's what the analogy is. Obviously, Oman makes it a little bit more complex, but Oman hasn't said either way, because Oman's been remaining Switzerland in this situation.
I'd like to
Go ahead,
respond
Cyrus.
to
If you
Mankos.
allow
Wait, Johnny
one,
wanted to go. I think
expect the
Johnny wanted
rest
to go. Let
to
Johnny go, and
fall
then
in
you go.
place like a domino
One
effect.
moment, if I have a very,
No, no,
very
no, no,
specific thing to
go
respond to
for it.
Mankos.
I just wanted to ask you a quick question. I will not be too long, 2 minutes at all. Manco, like genuinely, and this is not a gotcha. I'm genuinely curious. Like, is there any red line for you that, like, what's enough for you personally? Because like, it ran on the campaign promise of no new wars. It broke that. It literally was tweeting in 2015.
That's not even
One
true.
second, 1 second. It was tweeting in 2015, calling out Barack Obama for his fucking wars. Now he's a hypocrite. So like, where's the red line for you? Genuine question.
Yeah, so everyone likes to lie and mischaracterize Trump as being the like, oh yeah, I'm never going to go into any wars under any conditions. And he can say things like he doesn't want wars, but at the same time, when he was asked questions about Iran, he specifically said repeatedly and consistently that he will not allow Iran to get
All
nuclear
right, okay, and
weapons.
on that point,
So that means
wait there.
in
I've got
some
a follow-up
cases you're going to
question.
have to go to
But
war
on that
if
point,
that's the choice.
on that point right there, the JCPOA, well, in 2015, he came in and he ripped that up. But up until that
The
point, one second,
JCPOA was a joke, and Iran would have nukes right now if Trump stayed in it.
wait. Iran was playing ball. They were playing ball. He came in at the. We all listen. We all know this. But if you've been following this, we all know this. By the way, you can't gaslight us all. He came in at
Wait,
the behest.
so
1
Trump
second.
has
Let me
taken the
finish.
opposite
Let me
position
finish
to
what I'm
that.
saying.
So I don't know, like you're
Can I
arguing an
finish what I'm
alternate
saying?
reality.
Mancos, you asked me not to interrupt you, and I don't do that. But you don't do me the same courtesy. You keep interrupting me. So please, like, do me the same courtesy that I'm giving to you, right? Let's have a civil conversation. Plus, we've got an
Listen,
audience
okay,
list.
but you asked me a question and I
No,
was
but no, I
answering it.
haven't finished it. I haven't finished, right? Iran was playing ball. They were playing. As I said, we all know, if you were following this, we all know he came in at the behest of Netanyahu and he ripped that up. Why do we know that? Because I think as long as I've been alive, Netanyahu's been saying, right? Oh, Iran's 3 weeks away from a nuclear bomb. They're a month away. They're 6 months away. They're a year away. He's been doing that, I think, since 1995. So we all know why he did this, right? And then again, you can't gaslight us all. We all heard him say when he got on his podium on his voice box saying, no more new wars. I mean, he literally called out Barack Obama for wasting trillions of American taxpayers' dollars for getting into wars. And he's doing the same thing himself. So my question to you is, and respect to Doc, as mentioned earlier, respect to Doc, respect to, is it Rocco 2? It was just been saying how much he was a hard Trump supporter. Everyone in this space knows Doc. Doc was the hardest Trump supporter I came across. For him to come away from Trump cannot have been easy. And that man stuck to his principles, and even though he loved Trump and wanted to back him, he went a bridge too far. And he said, no, I can't support this. So my question is, where's your principles? Where's your consistency? Where's the red line for you? Genuine question.
We all know he doesn't have any, right? So
Yeah, I've been
I'm gonna
super
expose Mankos
consistent
if I
and
can.
super principled.
So
Wait,
Please
excuse
let
me.
him
I
answer.
asked
Let
a
him answer.
question
Let him
and then
answer.
Cyrus jumps in and
No,
wants
let
to
him
take
answer,
the mic.
Cyrus.
Yeah. So I've had consistent political principles for a very long time, and I've been consistent in these spaces, even though that's made me the heel and made like everyone always dogpiles me and stuff because I'm the American nationalist, I'm the patriot and stuff like that. And a lot of people in the spaces like to hate on America because America is very influenced by Israel. And I don't like the American influence the Israeli influence that gets put on the United States. but that doesn't mean I'm going to turn against my country because of it. So my principles have always been consistent. I do think it is within the United States national interest and for the sake of our allies in the Gulf other than Israel, including all of the GCC countries, that Iran not have nuclear weapons. And I think it would be extraordinarily bad for Iran to get nuclear weapons for the entire world, because it also means that a lot of the other countries in the Middle East would get their own nuclear weapons within a short time thereafter, and the
Mancos,
odds of a nuclear war happening would be
Mancos,
greatly increased.
Manco, Tulsi Gabbard,
Manco.
one second. Tulsi Gabbard herself, who was the head of National Intelligence Agency, told Donald Trump, and as did several other people too, right? Told Donald Trump explicitly, Iran's not building a nuclear bomb. They're not building, as did the IA, I think it's called the IAEA or whatever it is. Everyone reporting back.
Yeah, but that's just an idiotic statement. They clearly were. What are you talking about? Why do they have 60% uranium
18
if
out
they
of
don't want
18 of
nukes?
our security agencies said no. As of last year, as recently as last June,
Yeah, I don't
Mancos.
believe you. And by the way, you said those 16 intelligence agencies. One of those is
17
the
out of 18.
FBI. One of those is the DEA. You're telling me that the DEA is doing intelligence on Iran? I don't think
That's
so, bro.
intelligence agencies. I
Cyrus,
don't get
hey
that deep. How
Cyrus,
about the other
I got to
ones?
ask you a question, Cyrus.
Tell me.
Guys, one second. Manco, you completely deviated. So what Johnny is asking you specifically, and I think this is what you're saying, Johnny, and correct me if I'm wrong, is he's not questioning your personal moral compass, right? Because he doesn't know you. What he's saying is, where's your red line with Trump? What does Trump have to do? It's nobody hates on America here, okay? Sorry, was Gary speaking? Was that Gary or
I heard
somebody
Gary
else?
start to speak.
Yeah. Look,
Oh, Gary, I'm so sorry. I thought it was
it's
somebody else.
okay.
Gary,
It's
jump
okay.
in.
But look, Cyrus, I mean, where are we responsible? Are you just kind of saying, hey, this is par for the course and we're doing a great job? Or because before, a couple of weeks ago, you seemed kind of sensible. Now you're suggesting that, we're just a second fiddle in this game and just going along. We have no responsibility here.
That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying
No,
that
Cyrus, I think he meant Mancos, not you. He meant Mancos, not you.
I think he was speaking to me.
Were you
No, he
talking to
did, he
me,
did say
Gary?
Cyrus, but I think he meant Mancos.
No, I meant Cyrus.
Oh, did you? Oh, my apologies, Gary. My apologies.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, you seem to be, there's a scapegoat for Trump and his administration at every turn.
Which is what's the scapegoat I'm putting out? I mean, all the blame is on Trump. I've been saying it very
Okay,
consistently.
maybe it was somebody else. Maybe I thought it was coming from you. I'm like, wow.
Was it
No, that was
I was
me,
that
the
was
getting ready.
one that
Manco.
you
That
were
was
looking at,
Manco
Gary?
speaking. I was
Oh,
trying to
I was
jump
getting
in.
ready to ask
No,
Cyrus. I said, "Are you
Cyrus,
getting
what
paid
Gary
by
means
someone?"
is,
That was
No,
going
no,
to be
that
my
was
Gary,
Manco
question.
you're right.
speaking. I was trying to jump in
Ah,
and
maybe I should
debunk.
ask
Cyrus.
Mankos then.
Yeah,
No,
that's a
no, it's
question.
not.
That's a question.
Cyrus, can you stop talking for 2 seconds?
Go ahead, brother.
Please, because what happened? You're right, Gary. Cyrus was saying is Cyrus makes like a lot of points that sometimes contradict. So what he was saying before was Cyrus. When you were relaying the information, you made it seem like, look, Trump, well, made this decision. It wasn't really him. It was all Israel. He didn't know what he was doing, and we're really good and we're really amazing. And so you were making those arguments. I think that's what Gary's talking about. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gary.
I mean, I've been very consistent, nonstop. I've been saying
Yeah,
this has
yeah, but
been Israel's war.
you
I've always
started
maintained.
softening. You started softening up, like you kind of like dude. These people deserve full on responsibility. Okay, they're making hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm cool with them making a shitload of money, but like, you can't point the fingers at somebody else. These are the fucking grown ups in the room, supposedly.
I don't point the
Like,
finger at
and
anybody
by the
else.
by the way, as Americans,
I point a finger directly at Trump and
yeah,
Netanyahu. They're
that's
two
beautiful,
peas.
bro.
They're
Well,
two peas in
it
the
was
same pod.
Mango I was talking to then, for sure.
So, just for the sake of the audience, can I repeat the question, Mancos? What is the red line? What would Trump have to do for you to withdraw your support for him, please?
Yeah, so what he'd have to do is he'd have to support liberal policies. I voted for Trump to push America to the right. I think the Democrats are destroying America. I think liberals are destroying America, and there's lots of political issues. I don't put Israel, even though I'm opposed to Israel, it's not my number one issue. It's not my number 2 or even 3 issue. It's probably like number 9 or 10 or something. So there are a lot of domestic political issues that I care very much about. And if Trump betrayed the right on those issues, such as illegal immigration and things like that, then I would absolutely turn against him. But when he's just trying to do things that are like nationalists and like trying to pursue the American national interest in foreign policy in a muscular way, I don't think that goes against what he was talking about when he was campaigning or what I voted for.
So you can spill as much civilian blood as possible, and that's all good. All okay.
I don't believe that the United States has ever in any of these wars intentionally killed civilians, and they have things in place to try to minimize civilian casualties.
I think a million.
Unlike Israel in Gaza, where they very clearly, Israel used to do that like 10 plus years ago. They used to be a lot more careful in how they dealt with the Palestinians. But after October 7th, Israel changed its policies and they started to just be like, we're just going to kill anyone who gets in our way.
There's over a million Iraqis in their graves that would scream from the graves and disagree with you on that.
I reject that also. There was a lot of crazy left-wing propaganda that grossly exaggerated the number of Iraqi dead. It was nowhere near the numbers that were claimed. It was like some stupid Lancet article where they were just completely playing games with statistics to try to estimate the dead, and they purposely did things that they knew were dishonest in order to make the number a lot bigger than it actually was.
Okay. 100,000 Iraqis were dying a year rather, during Saddam's time due to the sanctions. During the sanctions, that's before Gulf War II. That was before 2003. 100,000 Iraqis died every year because of sanctions. It's called secondary effects of warfare.
Yeah, I mean, 800,000. I don't believe that anyway. 800.
It's been well documented. 800,000 Iraqis died as a result of the invasion in 2003. Just post 2003.
And how can you say that?
800,000 Iraqis. Wrap your mind around that number. You have a heart of stone, Mancos. You do not have a heart, man. I'll judge your morality. These people don't.
I am a proud American, unlike you.
Yeah, say what you want. You're no American, and you're no human either. With that, you have a heart of stone,
and actually, you're not a loyal American, and someone like you.
So wait. So what about America supplying One sec. What about America supplying like nerve agents and biological weapons to Saddam Hussein to bomb?
We didn't do that. Where are you getting that? Who are you reading?
That's from Scott Orton.
That's just wrong. The United States did not give biological weapons to Iraq. That's stupid.
Okay, I give up with this guy. He's just, I'll just give up.
Right. So, Mancos, you said that Trump, you want him to do national policies and stuff, but he's giving up on your mass deportations. People are getting TPS all over the place.
He's doing the best job he can.
Absolutely true. We did this before. You said ICE is putting up the numbers, and I went back and looked, and these numbers are not updated. You do not have mass deportations. Hold on. I've been listening to you talk for a while. Mancos. You don't have mass deportations, okay? You don't. All right. What they are deporting, there's a deportation happening.
Net deportation that we've ever had in modern history.
Right, I know.
The highest level by far.
Yeah, I've heard that net thing, this sort of weird calculation that people are doing because they're not getting mass deportations.
We're stopping the people from coming in, and we're deporting of any.
The people who you are deporting, are actual like residents who are legally here, or even citizens who are legally.
No, they're not. They're not here legally or citizens. What are you talking about? We're deporting illegals.
This is why. No, you're not.
Okay, Manco, you know what? Let her finish her point, and then you can respond. You will be able to respond to everybody who says anything to you, because I know that like literally everyone's asking you questions. So let her finish, please.
I just want to highlight
go
that,
ahead,
like,
Casey.
On the one hand, everyone's complaining that Manco's speaking, but there's nobody on the panel. Every single on the panel, they're just obsessed with him. Like, they all keep asking him questions. They all keep want to talking to him. They keep want to debate him. Like, let's be clear on this. Like, there's no one on the panel that hasn't been like, oh, Manco, what this and that. Like, I would move the conversation on to someone else, but they're all in love with the Manco. So they're all.
Do you know what it is, Sully? I can't get it.
And also, on top of that, same with the super chats. Like, everyone's sending the super chats solely based on Manco, so it's like really like.
But you know what it is, Sully? I can't get my head around what he's saying. Like, I'm generally, I'm having to contort my mind and bend my mind to try and like find
that's fine,
some.
And I get that, but obviously I don't agree with anything Manco's saying. But my point is, you could either just move on with the conversation, but everyone is like obsessed to talk to him, which I don't mind. It makes it engaging because there's not that much news coming out. So, but I just want everyone to realize that the moment people decide they don't want to talk to Mambo and Co, and they want to talk amongst each other. Like, for example, I thought Gary was going to ask Cyrus a question, so I was like, me no, me, and then the conversation went back to Manco again. So
Yeah, and I never got
the
to
whole
debunk
point is,
Mancos either.
all of the point is what?
Stars, I think you're missing the point, my
No,
boy.
I said I never got to
I think you're.
debunk Mancos, so I got cut off. I
Why
never.
are you
I have a
interrupting
very
me?
important point
Why
for
are
him.
you interrupting me? Like, you talk so much and then you interrupt
Go
me.
ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, I
What
just
were you
want to
saying,
know.
Gary?
I just want to know because I have been realistic in my statements on Donald Trump.
Do you know that
Am I
depleted
a
uranium
bad
was sold, you piece of
American?
shit?
Am I a
You know
bad
that they used
American?
depleted uranium?
Go ahead, Gary. I dropped him.
I just
So
want to know
Mr.
if I'm a
Gary,
bad American,
being
man,
idiot.
because I
You're a great
spoke the
American,
truth.
bro. You're a
Yeah,
great
I
American,
agree.
Gary.
I think all great Americans need to remember that every military, every cop says they protect the Constitution, okay, from internal and external enemies. And throughout history, it is always the internal enemies that you have the most problems with. So I'm going to leave it at that. We would be stupid not to look at this as a reality of what's happening, man. There's so much smoke here. Come on. So, like, you can't, like, I don't know if you're getting paid, but like you're defending this so aggressively. Like it would the question really should be, hey, if Trump, you know, blew up a couple of people on Fifth Avenue in New York, like he said, no, would no one respond? Would no one care? Thank you, guys.
Awesome,
It
Gary.
depends on who they were.
Yeah, so I think, sorry.
Go ahead, that girl. You were speaking, right?
Yeah, I'll just make it quick. Like, I think Gary makes definitely a good point because I used to, when people used to say like, "Oh, if Trump, ended somebody on Fifth Street or whatever, his base would be okay with that." And I used to think it was absolutely insane. But I stand corrected this year, so there's that. And all I was saying was that there have not been any kind of American type of like real policies being pushed, such as mass deportations. Trump said he wasn't going to like certain industries, to job sites to get people and everything. And we already know why. His boys called him and said, "You will not touch that." A lot of TPS going around. They are removing residencies from people, some citizenships. People are getting letters. And I believe that they're going back and making sure that they're not anti-Semitic and everything. So this is what's been going on. America is once again on the back burner because there's a war. It's just really the common sense situation, right?
Sorry, just Casey, on the immigration, you're getting a whole load of lovely little H-1Bs coming over from India, though, so you got to be grateful for
Oh
that. But
yeah,
go
they
ahead,
on
Casey.
it. First of all, they already come in. A lot of that going on in the medical field. In my life, I've never seen these kind of applications, these jobs postings saying, do you need sponsorship, H-1B? I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So they're coming in, and then poor Ohio. Jesus, when Vivek takes that over, sadly, Ohio's not going to look the same. It's already bad enough. They dropped off 40,000 Haitians. It is what it is. That's where they dropped them off in Ohio. And then now the H-1Bs, they're coming in, and they're coming in strong, right? And this is what these people want. So there's no time for them to think about American policies or fortifying the American people, which we should be doing ourselves. And I get that, right? There's no leadership here at all that's really that much concerned about an American citizen. They're busy fighting wars for Israel. And that's not an excuse because, like Gary said, they're supposed to be the adults in the White House. Is there anybody who could say, no, we're not going to do this? We have no business in this war, Mancos. We have no business in this war. None whatsoever. And we haven't, and this is just the beginning. Because me personally, I know it's going to go all the way to the extreme. There is no reverse gear. I think this is the space where the term escalator has been, coined. This is what they do. So, yeah, I'm not going to tell you not to support Trump. I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm just saying it out loud for the audience to hear. America, sit down, wait your turn, always. Nothing changed. Trump became the establishment Republican, like all of the other ones that used to disgust me in the past. But it's worse because of him, because they used him as a Trojan horse and brought him in with that nonsense. That's all I have to say.
Yo, if you guys want to get really irritated, I'd like to discuss. I don't know if anybody looked at the list of people. Over 100 people are going to China with Trump. And dude, have you seen the list? Visa,
No.
MasterCard, JP Morgan Chase, It is the top of the food chain, dude. Every connection, Visa, MasterCard have struggled China has been brutal for them. They've really never penetrated. They've tried to do partnerships. It's never worked because, how does one monopoly deal with another monopoly, right? Like, they're impossible to deal with. But it's fascinating. I don't have the list, and I'm actually planning some plants, but somebody should pull up, hey, who's the top, 20 people going with Trump? It's the who's list, though. And we're not included, by the way. There's a party going on somewhere up at 51,000 feet.
Yeah, real quick,
I can
the
give the list.
$100,000 fee that got put on by Trump for the H-1Bs, according to reports, has dropped the new applications by 90% for this year. So there are a lot of things that are good news that are coming out of the Trump administration on things that people were voting for. When it comes to the Iran war, Trump already wanted the war to be over like 6 weeks ago. The problem was Iran doesn't want the war to be over. And until Iran is willing to let go of the Strait of Hormuz, which it's not willing to do unless Trump
Yeah, but
agrees to
dude,
all sorts of
you
concessions
can't
that
say,
he's not
hey,
going
Trump
to
wanted
be
to
able to
finish a
do.
war that he's getting his ass kicked in after he started the fucking fight. I mean, what happened
How
to
is he
you when
getting
you
his
were in high
ass kicked?
school, dude?
Name how he's getting his ass kicked. How is
Well,
Trump
let
getting his
me
ass
ask
kicked in
you.
the
Let's
war?
do a poll for any kind of money you want. We'll just do a poll, me and you. Have a third party. We
Wait,
can,
we're doing a
yeah,
poll
just
in a space that is like entirely against
and
the US and
no,
Trump and
a
pro
global, a
Iran. Well,
global
gee, I
poll,
wonder
a
how that poll is going to
global
turn out.
poll. Okay, if you'd like to take a wager, and I think you'll find that people are like, "Wow,
Actually,
yeah,
there
we
was a
did take the
YouGov
first
poll,
punch,
Gary.
bro. We took the first punch."
Gary,
Yeah,
Gary, there was a YouGov poll that came out. I think it's yesterday or the day before. So, Manco, your claim is completely false and about to get obliterated again. 63 is it or 67%? One of them two. Anyway, 60% of Americans believe that the US lost the war, and I think about 13% or something of Americans believe the US won the war. So it's not even close. The overwhelming vast majority of Americans who actually voted on the poll all believe America lost the war. Sorry, back to you, Gary.
yeah. See, this would to me would be kind of like what I would expect from Biden. Not the greatest negotiator in the history of mankind, seen every deal, knows everybody, which I kind of bought into. Okay, I thought, okay, cool, dude, this guy's going to be a baller. He's a pussy. He starts a fight that he can't finish, dude. Total pussy and a huge mistake, okay? In fact, making the mistake is worse than being a P person. So all in there. It's not defendable.
I want to get a shot at Mancos and debunk some of his crazy theories. Mancos, you say
Let's
Iran
talk
doesn't want
about
to.
the list, dude. Let's talk about the
Well,
list. You're
Cyrus, are
giving
you
this
going to
guy too much
two-side it? Are you
O2,
going
dude.
to...
Don't
No,
give
but
the guy
I want
stage,
to make
man.
a couple critical points just to debunk him, right? He
But
said
I mean, Cyrus, come on, like this is just getting
this is
too
the
much
last
now.
one,
It's getting
last
boring.
points. I swear, I promise you.
I don't know, but then I have to keep jumping in and actually clarifying because I don't think you're doing as good
No,
as
no,
what
wait,
we
just
do.
give me 30 seconds. It'll slam dunk.
It's just, I hope so because then I have to jump in.
Hey, guys,
So
give your ego 30 seconds and let's move on to a real
no,
topic.
no, just give me 30 seconds. These are critical points. So Manco says, oh, Iran's hitting these weaker players, right? The United States during the Vietnam War, we punished Laos to cut off their supply routes, right? And the Laotian government wasn't even wanting to get involved. It was a guerrilla effort. So there were people operating inside their territories, and the U.S. carpet bombed and killing tons of villagers, tons of innocent people. And with a huge difference that these states in the GCC are complicit. They are in cahoots with the U.S. These are U.S. outposts. Iran has given the U.S. multiple off ramps to open the strait on multiple levels with no stipulations very recently. And for you to come here and deny the fact that our intelligence agencies, which are completely separate and independent, 18 of them have said that Iran is no closer to nuclear weapons than they were 15, 20 years ago. They have no intention of making it. They're not part of the executive branch. The executive branch is a propaganda machine, this administration. They are bold-faced liars just like you. And for you to come here with a straight face and completely, the gentleman that came here before, he had the honor to at least be like, hey, I voted for Trump 6 times. But after seeing all this, I did an about face. And I'm like, hey, I have principles, I have honor, I have character. And now he's exposing the truth to you, which you cannot wipe the Zio dust out of your eye and look at the documents documents. The United States intelligence
You're
apparatus.
not coming with facts, bro.
I
This
just
is
said,
just
go look at the
sophistry.
research. 18 intelligence agencies said it. Go look it up, including the
No,
CIA.
they didn't.
Go look it
You
up.
just pulling
I
this
put it
out
in
of
a
your
purple
rear end.
pill.
You don't know what you're talking
I put it
about,
in a
bro.
purple
And
pill.
you're just up
I
on
put
the
it in
pulpit going,
you're a
trying to give your
bold-faced
little
liar. You're
sermon.
feckless. You're spineless. You have the spine of a jellyfish, man.
Yeah,
All
you're
right, let's not
spineless.
get
You're
personal,
feckless. Wow.
Cyrus. Wait. Sorry, guys. Firstly, Cyrus, I don't know if you guys have got a different time zone in America, because in England that was way over 30 seconds, way over. So you must have some other way of measuring your seconds in America. Secondly, let's not get personal and do personal attacks, right? Mango comes here. He's got an opinion. Yes, we disagree with his opinion, but do you know what? He sits here and he is respectful to people. So let's at least maintain that. So, Mancos, do you want to quickly respond? Because then I do want to move on. Rock 2's got his hand up, and Gary chime in. Andrew, chime in anytime you want as well. Gary, chime in anytime you want. Mancos, go ahead quickly.
Yeah, I was just looking really quick at the thing Suleiman mentioned. There's an Ipsos poll, and I'm still going through it because that's but it was saying something like about a third of Americans thought that the US had, there we go, 1 in 3 Americans say America has the advantage in the war, and 1 in 7 says Iran has it. I couldn't find any poll question that talked about who was winning. Oh, there's a different one, which is from May 3rd, which says that
The
3/4 of
question
US
is, who
registered
started it?
voters said that the US is winning the war, and 26% said Iran is winning.
So what was that again, Marco?
So the poll that I'm still in the middle of going through, because I actually downloaded the PDF and it's long, but I'm going to keep going through that one. That one is an Ipsos poll,
From
and
when?
that said there's a Military Times article from 2 hours ago that talks about it, but I downloaded the original, and that one says that I had to pull up where the thing is talking about it. Okay, there we go. 1 in 3 say America has the advantage, and 1 in 7 say Iran has the advantage on that poll.
Yeah, but
And
that's
then
not about the war. That's like advantage in the current
for the war,
situation.
yeah.
No,
Yeah, for the war.
well, not really. I mean, it's advantage because okay, continue.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but like presently, you're right. It's about what the current situation, and it's not about like who won it in March or something. And then the other one is May 3rd, and this one says 3/4 of U.S. registered voters said that the United States is winning the war with Iran, and 26% said Iran was winning, according to a Harvard Capps Harris poll, and it was conducted April 23rd to 26th.
Okay, I'm just checking that one. But anyway, the YouGov poll from today, I think it's today or yesterday. No, I posted it yesterday. 62% of Americans believe America has lost the war. So not even losing, they said they just lost the war. In Iran, 13% believe the US has won the war in Iran. So that's not even close. Anyway, let's move the conversation on. Let's bring it to somewhere else because I'm getting a bit bored about this. Let's go to Al Farsi. Go ahead, Al Farsi.
Yeah, today is my first time speaking on the space, so I appreciate you hosting this. I did you did mention you want to move on, but would it be okay if I just speak to what was just discussed regarding war goals and such?
About what?
About America having an advantage versus Iran, or
Yeah, go for it.
who's winning the conflict rather.
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm as far as polls are concerned, they're fair, but you need to understand that the majority of Americans don't have a proper understanding of what's actually happening. They listen to mainstream media, which obfuscates what's going on in the field. Rarely do people listen to people like Colonel Davis, Colonel McGregor, these real analysts who are actually identifying what's going on in the field. But the field reflects what's going on and who has the advantage. If you look at war goals, America's war goal on the onset was removing Iran's 400 kilograms of uranium, disassembling its government, and doing a regime change. It was removing Iran's weapons capabilities and essentially defanging it. None of it is of it has happened. Iran, by some accounts, repelled an attempt to recover the uranium. Iran has maintained a closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which later on became a American war goal to open, and America is unable to open it despite countless efforts. Trump keeps getting pushback on any effort to open it by force. He can't convince any of these civilian ships to do the crossing because he doesn't have the power. Iran's weapons capabilities are fully intact. I'm inclined to believe the Iranian foreign minister who says that Iran's at 120% missile capabilities. And because the American Department of War says one day it's, oh, they only have 30% capacity. One day it's 70% capacity. The number keeps changing. There's no consistency there. But and more importantly, the Iranian government is still in power. That was the main thing. The entire purpose of the war was to do a regime change. Uranium was a MacGuffin, essentially. Manko, you say that the intelligence agencies didn't claim that Iran wasn't close to a bomb. Tulsi Gabbard said
They're
that.
all obsessed with Manko. Why can't you guys make a point with, like, I don't want this to be the Manko show where he's talking for 50%.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, but it's really
people
annoying because
who
like
are
he's been talking for so much of the space and it's kind of getting repetitive and boring, and I want to move on and have different conversations, and it's like you're all obsessed with him, and I don't want him to be like talking for 50% of the space. Then you're all basically you're all obsessed with him, and then you all cry that he's speaking. It's like a weird, like psychological behavior by you all.
They've got a love-hate relationship with him. They love to hate him. There's a super chat, Manko, for you from my resident troll, Moses. He normally comes and trolls me, but he's doing it to you. Well, he's not trolling you, actually. Where you're concerned, he's stating a fact. With me, he usually teases me. He says, Manko, 2 weeks into the war, I asked you, what would a
What he
US
says about
loss...
you is factual as well, but do continue.
What? Moses runs to YouTube usually to do a super chat to say Beatrix crashed the space, Beatrix did this, he snitches on me. But anyway, there's a good super chat. He says, Manko, 2 weeks into the war, I asked you, what would a US loss in the war look like to you? And you said, the downing of an F-35. So based on your position, you already lost. Thanks. Smash.
I mean, I don't think I said that, but also one wasn't shot down. And by the way, I looked up the 18 intelligence agency thing. It was, the source for that was Joe Kent. So like, okay.
That's one source. He's now find his source, Manko. It's right there, buddy.
Yeah, no,
Come on.
he's
You're
the
better
only
than
source.
this.
I just looked it up.
No, he's not. No, I posted it down in the purple pill. Speaking of which, if you like this content you hear here, hit that purple pill, smash that share button. Follow your host and co-host. Anyway, I want to get back to the subject of the polls and the validity of the polls nowadays. We got to see how they're weighted, who are they questioning, and what is their where they get their source of information. If you're sitting there watching Fox News, of course you're thinking you're getting a slam dunk. Okay, the one thing I noticed is Israel is coming out. Netanyahu's out in the open saying we got to take over the social media spaces. We're not, we're getting beat up over here. We got to, resort to censorship. Okay, and if you don't think that's happening, I can give you examples of that, but not at this time. But for example, I'd probably be on Manko's side if I was back in the TV world of cable news. Okay, but now I with these spaces that open up, we get info. Because I'll go to a pro-Israel space after here. I mean, you bounce around, you hear different point of views, different excuses, different reasonings, and then you decide for yourself. I also participate in a day trading space where I have some day trader friends that are living in Jerusalem. Okay, in the center of the, where the missile, you hear the sirens going off in the background when their mic is on, and that you get their perspective. And I think these polls. And again, I look at my view. If I was to be elected, I'd say, hey, or voted, polled, I'd say, nah, it looks like at this point Iran has the upper hand, and we shouldn't have gotten in this mess in the first place. Okay, but that's my question on the polling, and is it really accurate, or the sources again? Why is Netanyahu and Israel coming out an all-out assault, taking Larry Ellison took over TikTok. Within 24 hours, you couldn't type the name Epstein in the TikTok videos. Why is that? Censorship. Okay, Israel's putting out an all-out censorship of, who's killing the journalists over the Middle East? Is it the Iranians or the Israelis? Why are they doing that? I mean, it's if the journalists were living and they got their news, they got their reports out, their views or whatever you want to say, that might change that polling a little bit. So I just want maybe hear other people comment on what they think of the polls and how accurate they actually are. I mean, it's anybody's game now, as far as I'm concerned.
No, that's exactly right, and that's what I was saying too. Anybody who listens to this space would know that American bases were getting hit, but in mainstream media, it wasn't revealed until like a week ago that 15 of the American bases in the region were peppered by Iranian fire. Nobody knew about that. They hid it.
Just want to welcome Simon onto the stage. Simon, hope you're doing well. How are you?
All good, everybody. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing great, doing great. Give us your thoughts. What's happening in the market as well? I've not been kept up to date with it. What's going on?
Yeah, well, I guess like the market is red hot at the moment, and from my perspective, everyone in power wants to keep these prices high. They're engineering a global reset. They're taking advantage of this ginormous wealth transfer upwards, and everyone who's everybody is heading over to Shanghai to meet. And if you look at the list, you got, I think Gary wanted to talk about it. You got BlackRock, you got Goldman Sachs, you got Citigroup, you got Meta, you got Tesla. Like you got the executives of all of the
Simon, I
financial
thought Visa and
military.
MasterCard being there was fascinating, man. Think about it.
Yeah, it
They're
really is
going to
because half
China.
half of this.
China's not going to like MasterCard Visa there, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, half of this is the payment conversation. So you got this new CBDC network, Enbridge. You've got 110 companies connected to SIPs. And obviously you got Visa, MasterCard and the SWIFT system. So a massive chunk of all of this is about payment rails.
Yep.
So the rumors that they're pushing out there is that I don't know the validity of it, but I'm always find it curious why some kind of PR is pushing it. But they were talking about that Trump's trying to get China to invest $1 trillion in US, or like he's seeing it just as some kind of investment deal that he wants to announce on the front end. So we'll see. But they're not going there because they're starting a negotiation. They're going there because they've been talking for years. And many of them have operations in China. A lot of the manufacturing. Tim Cook's going to be there. Apple, everyone who's anybody, is heading over to Shanghai. So it's going to be. I think we'll get probably an update of everyone, of Trump and Xi speaking together on Thursday, and see what they want us to know. But it's pretty big.
Well, could Simon and Gary? Oh, yeah, Simon and Gary could weigh in on that. Oh, sorry, Simon.
Simon, I agree. I don't know if anybody's talking, but I agree with you. The market's gonna. I think what they're everybody's just turned their back, right? And okay, I'm gonna get rich. Not sure how many people really believe this thing though. It's problem is it can't go down. It's so big now. It's I think it's really safe to say, like, if you're not in these equities, it's probably going to leave you behind.
Can you believe, Gary? Nvidia is a $5 trillion company. $5 trillion. I think, when was it, like, Apple just became a $1 trillion company recently, and everyone was like, wow, there's a $1 trillion company. We now got a $5 trillion company. Like,
took them 26 years to get there, in fairness.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what Intel's done, okay? I mean, the US took a 10% stake in Intel back at, I don't know, 5-6 months ago. 10x lower price than today.
Yeah, and said do a deal with Apple, and now Apple's going to be figuring out how to buy chips from Intel. Who would have thought that? That's crazy shit, man. But 45% of the S&P is these tech companies now. Like, we are, the whole world is going to
Well,
be
hey,
data centers.
in fairness, Simon, I'll come back to you on that. But in fairness, I think that's a 20% change. You've had 2 members added to the MAG. That's a big dilution to the MAG guys.
Yeah, but look, we are, just have no doubt, we are turning the entire world upside down to build out data centers and reprice energy and all the commodities that are needed for all these chips. Like, if you zoom out of all of this shit, it's energy, it's rare earths, it's data centers, it's semiconductor chips, it's energy, it's software, and the entire chessboard has just been flipped for this AI and robotics trade. And there is a massive boom in building them. But once you built them, what happens to everyone's job? Like, you got 3 years, I think, max to figure this shit out. And I just, like, it is happening. It's rapid. And yeah, we're welcome to the full-blown global technocracy. And everyone's involved. Every country's involved in this shit.
Wait, Simon, so you're saying we have 3 years or we are behind the power curve, meaning we're we can't play anymore. Right? In other words,
No, if you're what I'm saying is, you as an individual have 3 years, I think, until the world is unrecognizable. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's 10 years, but pretend it's 3 years. The world in 3 years is not going to be recognizable. You won't have your job, because we're building the data centers and the robots to take your job. And so you got to adjust to that reality. And let's say it takes a little bit longer, but all of the growth, the entire growth of the economy, is just building out those data centers and plugging it in with enough energy to replace everything. And that's what they're building. And all of those people that headed over to Shanghai are going to be structuring, what does this look like for the West, and what does this look like for China? And they've been negotiating it for years. And there's only going to be, and China's already built the open source version. So all of the money that's being invested in this capex to build out these data centers, it's already an outdated infrastructure relative. You got these crazy IPOs, you got this capital like this flowing in.
Simon, okay, so I'm seeing more on my timeline about these data centers. I saw a video of somebody, I don't know if you saw it, but somebody posted one the other day and said, this is what, from the outside, a data center looks like and what it sounds like, and living close by to one. I think this woman was talking about, how it feels to live close to a data center in terms of noise and everything else. But if you look at the fact that what you're saying, they're building data centers, we know that there's a time cap, right? 3.5 years. Like, you can say, oh, it's going to take 4 years, 3 years, whatever. But there's a time cap in terms of the life as we know it now, and the kind of AI/robotics life that comes thereafter, which changes our life forever. people who are already surviving paycheck to paycheck. I cannot believe when Johnny was up here, he said diesel was £1.33, and now it's like £1.80 something in the UK. I didn't realize it had gone up so much, but that's a massive increase. And I was thinking about people who were already struggling before the war, how they're providing now, and I think like that this is all the cost of living increase, the fuel increase is to prepare us for the universal high income, or whatever they call universal basic income. But if you look at, I just want you to go back to what you were saying about China, the data center deals, the entourage that's going with Trump, why they're going there, what they've been negotiating for years, and how that ties back into this conflict that's going on with Iran, that the Strait of Hormuz. Please. I can't hear Simon. Can anybody else?
No, I can't hear him. He's not on his mic, but can't hear him.
Oh, I thought it was just me.
Nope. It looks like he's dropped.
He'll come back.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah. I don't know if you heard my question.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Look, you know, there is no such thing as a war between China and America. That's a complete fabricated fear. There is no set of circumstances by which America and China can go to war. They can only trade. They can only negotiate their currency. And let's just take a massive zoom out of what's actually happened with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. China's number one rivalry, India, is in a national security, asking people not to buy gold with their currency because it's such a hit. They're eating through their strategic reserves of fertilizers. They're having to do covert deals with Iran in order to try and get, scrape together at these astronomical prices that doesn't make anything in their economy work, some energy. So China's kicking ass with India right now. UAE's leaving OPEC. That's the other side of the petrodollar just disrupted. They're getting their FX swap lines. They're hedging every single application. These are the big routes between China, UAE, Iran, and India as well. And US and Iran just negotiated to get some of their shipments over to Pakistan, while Pakistan is, being bailed out by Qatar and Saudi to prevent them taking money from China because they're running out of dollars. There's some really big power plays happening over here. America is pricing everyone out, to make sure the stock market goes up. Like the stock market has reached astronomical valuations. Like DeepSeek, just Chinese software, they're raising finance now with China had like a big VC fund, like state sponsored VC fund that was investing in all the hardware and all the Huawei chips and all that type of stuff. It's now just taken in the first software investment, which is DeepSeek, valuing it at $45 billion, while OpenAI is doing, secondary market trades at about $1 trillion valuation. Like there is gold is flowing out of London and into Shanghai at faster and faster rates. Turkey is trying to bail out its currency by selling its gold. That ends up back in Shanghai. There's some really, really like big global flows that are happening right now. But above all of this, when China and the biggest banks, technology companies, in the world are meeting, and they can't go to war. They're negotiating, a global artificial intelligence infrastructure. And they'll be strategically probably weakening the dollar and potentially strengthening the Chinese yuan. And eventually, we're going to know what they're actually up to. But everything ties into, like, that's the big thing here is that China and private corporate interests in America are turning the entire world up for this AI and robotics thing. And in 3 years is going to have accelerated at such a fast pace. And everyone needs to make as much money as they can over the next 3 years, and just get ready for that, because what does it look like after that? They can't go to war. They can only trade with each other. And China's open sourcing the whole thing and significantly cost cutting the capex that trillions and trillions of dollars are investing. And apparently Trump wants to announce that China's investing $1 trillion in American companies or building out factories in America, whatever that means. Let's see. But there's no doubt that this is, every single day China's looking more like America and America's looking more like China, and they'll meet in the middle with a central bank digital currency and a stable coin, and it will be fully programmable, social credit score integrated, artificial intelligence is the name of the game. So yeah, lean into it. We're moving into a full-blown technocracy, and figure out where you're going to fit in with that part of the ecosystem and take advantage of it, because the world's changing, and it's gonna look very, very, very different, and it needs energy. And they're repricing everything so that you sell your assets. Like the end result of the closure of the Strait
Yo,
of Hormuz.
Simon, I just was doing some math on the NVIDIA thing that you mentioned. NVIDIA has added, I mean, this is just unbelievable, $2.5 trillion in 365 days, which amounts to 6,849,000,000 a day of accretive earnings, accretive growth on its stock price. Okay, let me say that again: $6.8 billion a day from 1 year ago today. $5.3 trillion. It's a 26-year-old company. It's staggering, man. I mean, we're in numbers now that, like, I don't think anybody even understands.
Absolutely. And look at Palantir. Like,
yeah.
like Palantir, it's just, I think even the UK, they just announced another NHS integration with all of our data headed over to Alex Karp and Peter Till's data desk. There was an investigation saying that that's what the Department of Government Efficiency was for. These companies, these are the global governments, and they're all going over to meet with China, and war's not on the agenda in terms of China and America. It's what is this technocracy going to look like, and how do we figure out how to integrate that?
I mean, without the war ending,
So
Simon, I don't think this stock market will continue, surging. You mentioned it yourself. You're waiting for a deal to happen.
Remember what I said
It, it,
before this war?
you
Do you remember?
no,
Were you there before the war started? I said the American stock market loves war. Why would they? It's a stock market stimulus.
right, but not with the blockade. You expect a deal to be reached and the blockade to be ended. Otherwise, obviously, with $200 a barrel oil.
The deal, in my estimation, and this is just my opinion, I did expect this to be short, as you all know, but the deal's done, and they want the strait closed because everyone's kicking ass and benefiting from the strait being closed. Everybody powerful that is headed over to Shanghai loves the fact that the strait is closed. And so does Trump, because he's there for all the people that are headed over to Shanghai right now, and they're all kicking ass because the strait's closed.
Yeah, momentarily. I mean, there's definitely room to make profit.
But Cyrus, listen, you're not listening. I literally said this to you yesterday on the space. I said, who is keeping that strait closed? It's America. Why? And I broke it down exactly what Simon's just said. And for me, I'm not a financial person. I don't have knowledge of these things, but it's just logical. Look at it. Look at who's making the money. Look at where it's going. But I just want to, and I'll give the mic right back to you, Simon, Cyrus. I just want to ask Simon one question just to finish off what I was asking him. So war's not on the agenda, and that's a given when you look at the list of companies that between yourself and Gary you've been telling us about, right? So when they come back, the status quo that is now the Strait of Hormuz and the situation with Iran, it's going to stay. I guess we're probably just going to see a continuation, Simon, of we've now given them a 20-point plan. We've given them a 15-point plan back. We've given them a 5-point plan. We're never going to accept this. We're going back to the drawing board. Pakistan told us not to do this. We're going to back off because Pakistan, our good friendly alliance partner, said not to do this. Lots more pantomime on this because these corporations are benefiting hugely, right? Is that what you think is going to happen?
Yeah, this is the largest transfer of wealth upwards to a few monopolies, and they want more business bankruptcies. It's COVID all over again. And so they'll open the strait the second they're ready to open the strait. But in the meantime, it's there's a lot of deals to be negotiated here. And you know the Middle East are going to control a bit of the key while these oil prices are high between the petro yuan and the petrodollar. But everything's moving to LNG. This is we're all of these data centers are going to be powered by LNG. And there's a few companies in America that have got those monopolies in the western side. And there's Middle Eastern interests. There's Iran. There's Qatar. There's the various other Gulf countries. There's Russia. There's Kazakhstan, and there's OPEC, and you can look through the list. And they're all the players, but everything comes back to Iran as a proxy for China, effectively, and these oil companies and these energy companies who Trump is acting as a proxy for. And so now we're going to put Trump and Xi in the same room. And when they're ready to open the strait, they'll open the strait. China will tell Iran when to do it, and the big banks and institutions will tell Trump when to do it. And when they're ready to do it, it will be open, and the deal will be done. And Iran will have 2 to 4 million barrels of oil, however they've agreed to release onto the market and no longer sell it, or they'll just keep the black ops discount to China because it facilitates all the black op operations via UAE, Singapore, Hong Kong, and all those different routes, and that requires the sanctions to remain in place. And there are there are factions of power in Iran, and factions of power in America, and factions of power in China that are happy with the status quo. Yeah, we'll see. But from my perspective, I think they know what a deal looks like. It's just the higher powers to say when it opens. And on the Western side, that's the World Economic Forum. And this facilitates exactly what they've always wanted. It's just another crisis for them to concentrate wealth upwards and price people out. The big farming companies, the big agri-tech companies, they want to bankrupt all the farmers. They want all the land. They want the real estate investment trusts, want all of the real estate. The energy companies want to sell as much oil at these prices as possible. And then they want to transition to LNG and power up all these data centers, and they need significant investment, trillions of dollars of investment, and the big pools of money are saying, all right, well, I'll put this amount in. What do I get? What's my little piece here? What's the energy flow? What port? What port am I gonna? You know, what piece of the global chessboard am I gonna control? And clearly this happened years ago. Like this has been a negotiation over a long term. And from my perspective, we're just witnessing the execution of that. But yeah, we're not we're not in the same world at the end of this, and it will be open as soon as the powerful say it's ready to open.
Simon, can I just push back a little bit
Yeah,
here
go for it.
on one part? Okay, because I had the stance very early on that America wants this closed. Trump wants this closed, not America, Trump. Right. And the reason was for one of two reasons. One was to enforce sanctions, right? And to show that if we sanction you, we mean them, and you're not getting around the sanctions. So anyone thinking about trading outside the dollar, you're going to be sanctioned, and we're going to enforce them. And the other one was to weaken the dollar at the same time, um, because he wants to weaken the dollar first and then build it back up because of the whole debt thing. And I always said, but they're not going to be successful, right? And I think the plan was to keep it closed, right? Um, and use the tariffs in order to force countries to continue to trade with the dollar and therefore buy our bonds. Well, now that the Supreme Court kind of turned that down, he's left without one of his biggest tools, right? Because to me, it was a three-pronged thing: is take Venezuela so you can keep oil prices down, keep it down a little bit, control the trading routes in order to take out the ghost ships and enforce sanctions, right? Well, now he can't use the tariffs to enforce people, and he's not really winning in Iran. So I don't think, to me personally, I don't think this is what it was meant to be. I think he's in a quagmire that he doesn't know what to do at this moment in order to win. To be honest with you, I don't think. I think now they're like, oh, we can benefit. We can force money printing because they've been doing it now secretly. Because if you look at the increase in the bonds that the Fed is holding, it's increased enormously. So they're basically doing QE without announcing they're doing QE. So that's something Trump also wanted because that's also going to weaken the dollar. So he's getting what he wants, but through a different means. But I don't think he knows what step two is, right? And I think that's where we're at. Is like, what's step two? When do things break? When things break, I'll figure it out. That's kind of, if you look at Trump's history, that's kind of the way he manages. He's not like a long term thinker.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a perfectly reasonable explanation. I just think I just don't quite buy into presidents and making decisions. I think that presidents are just press secretaries for real power, and the real power is going to Shanghai, and Trump's the press secretary, and you get to play that role, and your job is to do what real power wants, and you get rich, and we'll allow you to do all the insider trading.
I feel
Yeah.
like they do make decisions, but they get influenced by money in order to make a decision a certain way. Right? I do believe that. I don't believe like Trump is calling someone at night and being like, "Hey, what do I need to do here?" It's you have the lobbyists or whatever that are funding him and like, "Hey, we want you to do this." And most of the time he's going to do what his funders are telling him to do.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like is you auction off policy, right?
yeah,
And private interests and public companies are just like, well, okay, I'll pay a bit more for it, and
yeah,
you get a few shares and this and that,
yeah,
and
and that
everything's
isn't
done.
Trump,
Yeah.
and that's not Trump specific. That's every president,
Agreed.
right? So,
Biden was just as corrupt, but Trump just happened to be more easy to spot, I think.
so then what happens after that? If if I'm correct, and they're kind of in a quagmire where they don't know what step two is, do they keep it closed until things break? Because things are starting to break.
Yeah, I think the overarching trend. I still think we're in a weakening of the dollar as an overarching trend. And I think they, yeah, I thought this would be, done and dusted a lot sooner. But I think they want to break more things. I think it's bounded. This is bounded escalation. It's designed never to escalate beyond control. And every time the market hits the key point, they change the narrative. But I think they want to prolong this for as long as they need in order to manufacture the crisis.
Do you think he doesn't care about the midterms, or he thinks that they're going to have to print so much that
Yeah, I
the
don't think
economy's
he
going to
cares.
boom and he's going to win?
I don't think he cares. I think he knows that his job is to just get rich, and his job is to deliver for power and get as many deals done in this. I think that his big ticket is the golf money, like affinity partners. I think that's like his big check, life changing check. He made as much money out of crypto as he could, but the affinity partners money is what is the big money and the big promise. And yeah, that's where I think his allegiances are, and he's got to figure out how to satisfy everything around that.
Simon, I'll tell you what. Like, I didn't think Trump should be arrested before go to jail for other things. I think they were very light, like with the documents and everything else, and even with the whole Capitol thing. But if people in the Trump organization do not go to jail for what they did with World Liberty Financial, I mean, that's just like, that is probably one of the most corrupt things I've ever seen in
Did we
U.S.
lose Joe?
history, to be honest.
No, he's
You hear me?
speaking.
Unfortunately not, Simon.
You just were agreeing with my stance from 2 months ago, Beatrix. And you finally saw the light.
The only thing is,
Simon
she
can't
probably
hear
doesn't
me.
even know that she was agreeing.
Oh, no, where else she wouldn't agree.
I'd never agree with him. I don't know what he just comes up and makes random claims. He's Manco's brother these days. I don't know what's going down here. Simon, can you hear us?
No, I know the difference between, why the strait is closed and why it's not.
And also the notion that the subject of the Strait and the war is not one of the main topics between um, uh, the Chinese and the Trump administration. I mean, that is not true. I mean, this is a big deal. The Asian economies are on the brink, and just we're here to make predictive analysis, not trend analysis, right? We can't be like, oh, they're going to open the strait whenever they feel like it. I mean, the reality is India's already waved the alarm flags multiple times. They just announced that Modi himself, when the prime minister steps up and gives over 1 billion people austerity measures, I don't know what else you need to see that this is a true crisis and this is not controlled escalation. I mean, America is pushing the world to the brink of collapse, and there's nothing controlled about it. And when your 401ks are down by 60%, then come talk about it. It's Americans don't want to see $11.
Cyrus, they're not going to be. That's the problem.
They're not.
If things go the way they're going, U.S. prints money. If U.S. prints money, your 401k is going up, not down.
Yeah, not when all your products locally are 50% more. The global economy has crashed. That's not how recessions work. So if you think we're just going to print our way out of it, you don't know much about inflationary pressures and how interest rates are going to react. Interest rates will be, and how it was during the Reagan times, it will be 15% to control inflation. So you can't just print
Cyrus,
money.
if eggs cost $20, what happens to Apple stock?
Yeah, but when you're like, if you're sitting on millions of
It goes
dollars,
up, not
Joe,
down.
you may be a multimillionaire. Your average American that's making 50 grand a year is not speaking your language. Is not speaking your language.
I agree, but Americans also fall for the false notion that what Wall Street does is what the U.S. economy is doing, and they're completely separate.
If the Asian economy is going to a deep recession, it's going to affect the American consumer massively. 70% of our economy GDP is based on American consumer spending. We're a consumerist society. So this is no real economist is saying this. So everyone is saying we're on a precipice. The Asian economies are getting within a couple months of taking a nosedive. It's a real thing. Just follow the volatility index. You'll see how the U.S. market will react. All the U.S. head corporate guys fully expect this to be resolved and the strait to be open one way or another. Trump is dragging it on to the very last minute. He's going to go to China. He's going to say, hey, due to international pressure and my friends and the American corporations, they all urged me to lift the blockade and enter into long negotiations. Trump is going to have to take the off ramp. Otherwise, it's a kamikaze mission. It's very clear. We're not here making trend analysis. Oh, the dollar's getting weak. We're talking about specific things with geopolitics, and we're trying to make predictive analysis, as Suleiman did with the start of the war. He's one of the few big voices that called it on the dot. So that's what makes this fun. Otherwise we can make generalities. Oh, they may make a deal, may not make a deal. We're here to make predictions.
Simon,
I
are you
don't
back?
know what to say to that.
Oh, sorry, George, did I interrupt you?
No, I don't see Simon up here. He fell.
It's probably glitching out. While Simon's coming back, guys, do me a favor, retweet the space, reshare the space, but more than that, there's a tweet in the nest. It is our YouTube moral resistance channel. We have 4,800 subscribers on there. If everyone on the space, how many people have got on the space? 1,400 people on the space. Can do me a favor, go to that channel and subscribe. Let's get that number up to 5,000 if we can. We've got loads of content coming out. There's loads of videos coming out. And tomorrow we have 7 huge interviews. 7 huge interviews we have. What's his name again? We got David Icke. Everyone knows David Icke. If you don't know David Icke, you're a dog and you're living under a rock. So we've got David Icke. We've got Professor Izadi. We got Dr. Atusa. We got Harrison Smith from InfoWars. And then in the evening, we have Ryan Dawson, Larry Johnson, CIA, and Professor Pape, Professor Robert Pape. If anybody knows him, he is viral right now for his position on the escalation trap, where he believes essentially there's going to be a ground invasion, is his position, and he explains why, in his view, is US and Iran are in a escalation trap. So Robert Pape's super viral. It's going to be golden. So go to the tweet in the nest, click on it, and subscribe. We've got 4,807. I want us to get to 5,000 by the end of the space if we can. Oh, that girl, what are you doing here? Why are you sitting here? Like, this is why no one likes tethers. What's she doing? Why is she not promoting it? Well, Beatrice, you got to stand in for your girl, because obviously this is
I'm
this is
going
why
to,
these tethers,
guys.
they're all part timers. Then they hit the FBA for a reason, isn't it?
She's going to hear this later and she's going to be like, oh my God, he said all that and I wasn't there. Guys, we are the moral resistance,
We're
right?
excommunicated.
Me and Simon and Andrew and Suleiman, all of us, we're all Silver Sailor, our YouTube crew, we are the moral resistance.
And you're not, but do continue.
Joe's Davos. Davos cannot be part of our moral resistance.
Literally came up with that we should call that the channel, but okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
You
everyone
came up with
looks
the
at
name,
Joe.
you and Andrew, and you made the logo for it.
Me and Andrew came up with the name. When Jonah comes up here, everyone on the panel looks at him side-eyed because they think
Andrew said
me
it,
and
I'm
Andrew.
like, hey, I love that.
Andrew
saying.
and I.
You designed it.
Andrew and I kind of agreed it before telepathically. Everyone looks at Jonah like a little bit side-eyed, thinking, "Oh, WEF guys here, WEF guys here." We all do.
Only the FBA.
Yeah. Guys, look, there is a tweet in the nest. Please do go
and Simon, because he's exposing the WEF plan.
Yeah, exactly. That's why he came and he jumped in and said, oh, can I just push back on that? And Simon saw through it, and that's why Simon's like, I'm getting out of here. I ain't having no Trump simp, WEF guy pushing back on me like that, and that's why Simon hopped it. So that's the truth. And anyway, he made us lose Simon, because Simon thought, oh my God, this guy's worse than Manco. Like, Trump's not that bad, all of that stuff. Simon thought I ain't hanging around for that.
Or maybe Joe was just too strong. Joe is too strong of a
Simon,
what?
Everyone's taking my position that America's the one who wants the strait closed, right? Or else they wouldn't be going over there. And I'm the one who's just sowing doubt. It's quite funny.
Yeah, I find that very funny. There's no explanation for that, Beatrix.
Yeah, Casey and I were talking about your Hamptons parties and your chilling with Trump and everything today. I don't know how it came up, but it came up. And then when she started going down the list, I thought, my God, that is some list that of info we got on Jonah. Seriously. But anyways, so the rest of us on the panel are the moral resistance guys. Andrew and I came up with the name together. Yeah, we did. And then we got an AI logo. Anyway, in the nest, there is a tweet, and which tweet is it? Let me have a look. That's Substack. So the first tweet is the Substack, the first on the left. Everybody on the space, the nest is above where you see me and Simon. The first tweet you see is for Suleiman's Substack. Do go and subscribe to that. It is free. You can donate to support his Substack if you wish to, but if you can't and you want to help, then just subscribe to it. It's free to subscribe, and he's kept it free so those that can't afford to donate can still read what he's writing. So that's really nice of him. So please do that. The second tweet in the nest, the middle one, shows today's interviews, and that's his live there where we went live. Right. Okay. So then the third interview along is his moral resistance, our moral resistance channel, all of ours minus Jonah. So there's a YouTube link there. If you press that YouTube link, and then when you go to YouTube, press the bell icon. That's where he interviews people. That's where he interviewed Professor Morandi today. That's where he interviewed Dimitri Lascaris today. That's where he interviewed Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilera. And tomorrow we've got a all-star lineup for interviews. So make sure you've got your bell icon, set your notifications on that channel, subscribe. It's free to subscribe. And do you know what, guys? I was watching the interviews today. Dimitri Lascaris, what a phenomenal interview. I mean, they were good. Professor Morandi's brilliant, and Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilera, brilliant. But I've never really watched Dimitri Lascaris properly, like, seriously. And I was having a bit of a lazy day, lying in bed, and I put it on, and he was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm in a hotel lobby, in between traveling, but I really wanted to jump on with you, Suleiman, so excuse the noise in the background." And I was like, I don't know what this interview is going to be like. He's brilliant. I really, really liked him. If you haven't seen him, go and watch today's interview. He breaks it all down. Brilliant questions. It was a really good interview. I'm not joking. I'm going to go and watch it again. So that was good. So please go and subscribe to that channel, right? And we, minus Jonah, are the moral resistance, all of us. Okay. That's it, Suleiman.
Yeah, you missed the main bit. You need to get 5,000 followers on there. Can you tell people to follow so we can get 5,000?
Yeah, guys, and you know what? Please share that link, right? For that from that tweet. Share it, retweet it, put a comment underneath it, and let's get to 5,000. Let me see what we're on now. I'm gonna go to the channel. Wait, let me just see. Visit channel. We're on 4,810. We need 190 people. We can get 190 people in the next hour. Let's get likes. Let's send it out. I'm going to send it out on a couple of my groups. Let's get people to subscribe to it. It's free to subscribe, and they're helping. So please, let's share it out there. Let's get 190 people. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We've got people from all over the world. Let's go. Let's do it. Oh my God, nobody's bullying Joa. Super Amma, you're asking for time out. He's like, Joa's a G, why does everyone bully Joa? Like, he literally comes up here, attacks us all, and we just have to put up with that.
Just you and Manka.
All of us. That's why Simon left. Simon's
only
like,
you and Manka. Just only you and Manka.
You made the Simon Dixon run off. Poor guy.
Don't want to mess with Joa. That's why you ain't ready for my boy Joa. Huge. Let me read the super chats first of all. Shilaz says the mainstream media says Trump's to pressure Xi to stop supplying Iran weapons and stop buying their oil. What leverage does Trump have to twist Xi's hands? Nothing, I think. And then huge super chat by Silver Sailor, our very own Silver Sailor. He's actually on the chat as well. Please interview U.S. Senate candidate from New Hampshire, Aaron Day. He is the enemy of the technocratic takeover. I believe he coined the term tyranny. I am for dangerous freedom, but the elites are giving us peaceful slavery. What do you prefer? Okay, let me check out. Have you got his X on though?
Sully,
Who
if I
gets
could jump
handle?
in. It's
Yeah.
me
Yes,
here,
Silver Sailor
Sully.
jumping.
Silver Sailor. Yeah, I posted some of his links in the purple pill. He is the candidate that's fighting this technocratic takeover. He coined the term palantirany. You know, it's got the word palantir in it. That's what they're giving us, peaceful slavery. He is against that. See his website, technocracyatlas.com. He's running for U.S. Senate. Please interview him. I know Joe will get a kick out of him because he's big into AI, and he is the guy that is trying to defeat the enemies of the people.
Cool.
Jonah, you meant Jonah, Silver Sailor, right?
Yes, my apology, Jonah, my bad. Oh, and I did post a picture of me wearing the Leave Dubai Now t-shirt in the purple pill.
That's funny. Yeah, I did message Ryan. Let me see what he replied. I'll message him again later.
Yeah, I made that myself. I have a machine that's able to make the vinyl print, the iron-on prints. So I made it myself.
W. Awesome. Yeah, if anybody knows anyone got any advice on how to sort this merch stuff out, then let me know. For a cheap price. Okay, so let's go to what was it, Beatrix? What were you saying?
Nothing. I was trying to bring up Brother Hussein because he requested it. It would have been good to hear from him. Silver Sailor loves the t-shirt. Suleiman is, when he finds a window, going to move forward with that march. You've read the super chats out. Guys, please, moral resistance, share that channel. Let's get it up to 5,000 tonight. Not a big ask. We're about 180 away. So share it, like it, subscribe to it. Zainab saying that Sully's got IP rights to leave Dubai now. Oh my God, Silver, you might end up owing Sully money, literally. Yeah, Zainab, he's got IP rights. They're so protective over you. They're like he's got IP rights. Yeah, that's it, Suleiman. I think we can go forward with the conversation. Let's go to Art Cats. Art Cats, not seen you for a couple of days. Welcome, jump in.
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, Soli, I saw your so-called debate with the rabbi. If you had a better moderator, it would have been. I think it would have been even more in your favor, and it would have been nice to see some question and answer back and forth. And I just thought it was funny too how he called you out for being emotional. I thought you were really composed. He was the one who was actually getting quite emotional at the beginning, in between whenever he had his book on the screen. But anyways, good job. Wow, I can't believe you're getting David Icke to interview. That's amazing. He shares, of course, a very unique perspective, and some of the things that I agree with. Of course, he doesn't really believe in. He doesn't really have a faith, any particular faith, you know. So I hope you ask him about the reptiles or the reptilian, but it'll be interesting to see what he says, because especially when you bring the war into it, I think he shares a lot of the same perspective as me, that these are all actors, the people that we see. I think it's really tough with Trump because he has ties to a lot of these families, like Kushner and whatnot. So it's hard to know how much of a Manchurian candidate he is versus how much he's actually in the mix. And the fact that he was, best friends with Epstein also probably sides to that. I just don't think that he's the one who is ultimately calling the shots here. I don't think that he is the one that everybody is bowing to. I think, again, those are the people that we don't see. But again, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's the same playbook. Like, how many more times are we going to see them talking about a ceasefire? And then he's going to give X number of days, and then those days come up, and then he tweets some crazy stuff, and oil spikes and oil drops. And it was the same thing with COVID. This many cases. Are businesses going to stay open? Are they going to close? Interest rate hikes. Like, I don't know if anyone remembers. I know Joa probably does, because he's in the market. Anyone here in the market would remember when every time there was going to be another interest rate decision. We've never had a federal bank chairman get so much. He was like a celebrity, and the markets would go up, and it was just crazy. And they would hinge on anything he says in those meetings. And we want to believe that that's how markets normally react to these things, but it's not. It's because again, we all want to believe this is how markets react. They control the markets. It's an excuse for the volatility that they are already creating. Yes, there are other investors and funds that trade and cause some of that volatility, but in my opinion, these are the big bankers, these are the big hedge funds. They control the markets, and so to me, it's more of a narrative that they use to kind of basically they use these narratives to cover for what's happening in the markets. But again, same playbook over and over. We saw that with the interest rates, then the tariffs. That's when I knew we were when he came out on Liberation Day and had that board that was set up with all these made up numbers with some math that we had no idea how he came up with these numbers. And it was, again, the same playbook. Every couple of weeks, it was 25%. It was 50% tariffs on this and that. And now we're seeing this with the war. I mean, how do they not know what's there to negotiate? I think they make this seem way more complicated than it is. I appreciate all your interviews. I do question people like Scott Rittner and these people. They're supposed to be ex-CIA and all this, yet they're allowed to go, and the government has no problem with them showing their faces on all these podcasts. Every time you see him on any of these podcasts, he looks like he's in his broom closet that's where he's doing his interview from, to make him look humble, when I believe they're all given a script. And again, I think it just detracts from the fact that this isn't as complicated as they want to make sound. What are the negotiating factors? We know what they want. We know what Iran would want. We would know what the US. Again, I don't think that these are things that weren't already part of a plan that was determined a long time ago, and the war is just being used as a ruse to create a crisis, to extract money from people, and whatever was going to happen anyways. So anyways, I've spoken too long, but I'm tired of this. Like, people are getting, and the more I look at the White House tweets and the responses, the more I see people posting memes like, there's 350 million of us and probably only a couple hundred of them. Like, why people are understanding that it's just lie after lie, and something's not passing the sniff test. It just doesn't make sense what's going on here.
Did you hear what Simon's take on it was, Art?
Sorry, whose take?
Simon's. You were on the panel.
I just missed him. I heard him for a little bit, but I don't agree with him when it comes to again, with Trump. I know Simon's motto is follow the money, and I think that has a big part to play here. But I do think that it's more about money. And when you have billions of dollars, is the next, I understand some people are just obsessed. There's greed that's involved. But when you have that much money and you already could have anything, I don't think that that's what you're really looking for, is more money. I think Hollywood shows us that too, that it's got to be more than the money. So it's not just Trump grifting his way to this presidency. But what is a concern to me is that the midterms are coming. And, Scott Besson tweeted out today, and I saw a lot of the responses were calling him out on the gas prices, saying it was going to be $3 a gallon by summer. I am surprised. Even Simon had said about, this meeting with Xi Jinping that it would be resolved by now, but it doesn't seem like anything's being resolved. They're continuing this out. It just, to me, again, we don't see what's going on in Asia. We're not feeling the pain as much in North America. But I think if we were feeling that, there would be more. I think they'd be more worried about civil unrest and what would happen, because the American people aren't going to put up with it for so much longer. But by then, will they have something in place to make sure that there are no uprisings? I mean, I just look at, they control everything. Everything is going through our phones, our vehicles, everything's AI, everything's computerized. It doesn't take much to make someone disappear or shut down. So it just seems like they're stalling for some of that to make sure that they have everything in place. But I don't totally buy that it's just about the money. And so again, midterms coming up, I don't think Trump cares. Is that because they're going to rusher in someone like JD Vance? He's going to oppose Trump, which he did before, and he's going to be the new hero. Are they going to bring someone from the Democratic Party to act like that? I don't know. But I don't see, first of all, I don't believe in elections, but I don't see Trump or the Republicans caring at all. And so I think that, again, just plays to the point that there are not two parties, because his own congressmen and his own senators, they don't care. They're not being vocal about the war. They weren't vocal about the tariffs. They're not saying anything about the fact that he's going along with all this without any congressional approval. So it's straight, like, these times, like, young people don't notice how things since COVID are not quote unquote normal. But you will hear people that are like, at least in their mid 30s say, when are things just going to go back to normal? And what happens if that was the sign? COVID was the sign that things are not going back to normal. Because if you look at what happened during COVID with the money printing, the wealth transfer, and it's just been crisis after crisis from then, that maybe we don't see normal again. Maybe this is part of their playbook.
Yeah, you're right, actually, because when I think back to what happened during COVID, now when we process it and look back, at that time it was like the fog of war, because you were hit with everything all at once. And by the time, I don't know what it was like in America, but in the UK, you just went from bad news to bad news. We had Boris Johnson in power, terrible. And we had this health secretary called Matt Hancock. And immediately they said, and I don't want to make this space about COVID, but you're talking about wealth transfer, so I'm just giving you an example. Immediately, they said, oh, we have no PPE, we have no masks, we have none of this stuff, that they need in the hospitals for nurses and stuff. So we've got to give out some contracts. So he gave a contract out, I can't remember, maybe 180 million, maybe more than that. I can't remember the exact amount. Matt Hancock did, to a company to make masks or provide those, those plastic aprons that nurses wear or something like that. I can't remember what it was. But to provide something, and the company he gave the contract to was owned by his friend who owned a pub who'd never actually made any PP in his life. It was the pub that Matt Hancock drank in. So he gave his friend the contract. And obviously, it goes without saying, no PPE ever materialized. And that's just one example. There were loads. I mean, it was disgusting what happened, and it continued to happen. And it was an insight into how governments run. And maybe that was the beginning of what's to come. They knew that they could do this to us. I don't think, I listen to you, but I just don't think anything's going to happen in America, by the way. I don't know what other people on the panel think. I don't know what Joe or Andrew or Cyrus
I'm Canadian, but that's regardless. Same thing as being American, but really, we just follow your lead anyways. But, you look at COVID and the things that happened, like people were dying. They weren't allowing people to go visit. What they did to our rights, and nobody goes back to question. Like, we forget about all these things so fast. And that's how you know that it's just all part of the bigger plan. You mean the world was shut down for 2 years? They told us it came from a bat at a wet market. That's what they tried to tell us. Businesses were shut down. People were dying. There were funerals happening where people couldn't even say goodbye to their loved ones. People were losing their jobs. If you didn't get the jab, you were ostracized and made to feel like you were subhuman. And all that gets done and passed away. And no one looks back and demands answers because they want you to forget about it. Just the other day, this will be David Eichel might talk about this, and I'm sure Solomon might ask him, but just like the disclosure stuff that they came out with on Friday about the aliens. Can you believe this? The US government came out and they dropped these alien files and nobody even flinches. I don't know one person at work that even knew that it happened or was talking about it. That's how desensitized we are to the world we live in. We have presidents that ran with, someone who ran a sex traffic ring and was affiliated with all kinds of world powers, and who knows, that's just the tip of the iceberg, was involved with banks and that. No one questions that friendships. We have alien files dropping from the government. We have the president of the United States talking about obliterating civilizations. We have all kinds of things going on, and nobody bats an eye. These are not normal times.
There's a big distinction we need to make between the COVID crisis and the current one. The COVID crisis was caused by government intervention impeding regular commerce and activity in our society, right? And it was obviously everything you said is correct. The falsehoods, it was absolutely controlled. They knew what was happening. In this case, that in this current scenario that we're in, I'll refer back to a statistics statistic that Beatrix mentioned, and she's not even an energy analyst, and this stuck out to her as it should to everybody. We have 90 days global oil supplies, and that's across the board. That's not including that Asia has far less, right? So this once we have real shortages, and Europe will be hit shortly after Asia. It's not a matter of you paying, $12 a pound for a liter of gasoline. There could be genuine shortages where there is no gasoline, right? So this is a completely different crisis, and this is there's
I
and there's
disagree.
and there's no-
You're
and there's
saying
nothing controlled about it, So that like Trump is out of options, and he's pushing Asia and Europe to the precipice, and the United States is next. I mean, we're maybe 6 months after the chaos that ensues in the global economy. If this blockade continues, I mean, we are running out of oil. You cannot take away 20% of the world's oil and not cause a global recession, maybe a depression. The reason for that is every single one of those barrels is accounted for and forecasted for a year out. All these companies, all these refineries, all the logistics companies that need the diesel, all the shipping companies that need the fuel, they all have this forecasted. So all of a sudden you take 20% out of the global supply. I mean, we're running on reserves right now. The reserves are running low, as Beatrix mentioned 3 days ago. And she's not an energy analyst. I'm not either, but I've been researching a lot more in the past few months. And it's really eye-opening, just to look at India, one of the major petroleum producers when it comes to downstream refining. Many European countries are heavily reliant on Indian refining capacity, and the government is subsidizing it right now. Their break-even point is $80. You guys have to wrestle with these realities. And when Joe speaks about, oh, we're going to print our way out of it, that there's a limit to that, right? You cannot do that when your products are 50% more and your wage has not gone up 50%. You can't print money and increase wages unless the wages go up proportionally, which they won't, as we've witnessed with inflation eating away the middle class. That's not a solution. When you're out of oil and your consumer goods are above 50% over your normal rate, I mean, people will be crippled. The American middle class cannot survive that. Only 60% of Americans have exposure to the equity markets. That's it. So America
yeah,
runs on debt. We have no margin for error, and we're pushing at a precipice. All the top economists agree with us.
Just
now,
before
Cyrus,
you,
I never.
1 second. Just before you go, I was gonna give the mic to Joe. Joe, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I never said we're going to print our way out of it. What I said is perception, right? Which is we are going to print, the stock market's going to increase. And when you were saying stock market's going to go down, stock market is going to increase. And to most Americans, wrongfully so, they associate the stock market to the economy. That's why everyone says the economy was doing amazing under Trump. Everything was going up. The market was, but the economy was not doing great. It had actually slowed down, not sped up. But people don't look at that. They just look at stock portfolios and they're like, oh, yeah, if IBM is up, that means the economy is doing well. And that's just not the way the economy works. So, Cyrus, what I was talking about was perception, not reality, just so you know.
And I agree with you that the monetary easing and this, printing money scheme we've been on since Clinton left. We had $1 trillion surplus when Clinton left. Now we're at a $40 trillion deficit. So generally, I agree with you. I'm speaking specifically about the double blockade and the crisis that is awaiting us. There is a looming crisis. There's an abyss awaiting the global economy. This is historic. This is unprecedented, that the level of global recession / maybe depression that is we're headed for. I mean, this is a real thing. That's why Trump will take the off ramp. I mean, if you understood the economics of it, there's no way a rational president will sit in a kamikaze plane and smash it into the global economy. I just cannot see him doing that. He has to back off.
But Cyrus, here's the thing. So I don't agree with. So here's the thing. I agree that we don't know how far they're going to take this, and we don't know. Well, we do know what the potential global impact could be, devastating, like depression level. But to say that it's not being orchestrated or controlled, that the pandemic or COVID was a pandemic and it was done intentionally, I think that's the thing that I'm arguing, is that this is intentional. And so are we seeing the depths that they actually are willing to go to cause, total wealth destruction? Because, here's the one thing. I know there's some wealthy people on this board. I know Simon got to Bitcoin really early, and I know there's some other people here that have some pretty decent wealth. But I don't think that we're all going to be safe, even if we have a couple $1 million in the bank. I think that that's where we get a false sense of security, that they're not going to allow just some upper middle class to survive. If they're going to wipe people out, they're going to wipe people out in its entirety. So is this a case where they're just trying to extract some, because that's what COVID seemed like? Let's shut some businesses down. Let's print some money. Let's do some damage, and we'll extract some money. Is that what this is? Or is this, they're going to take it as far as they can till they see people really bleeding? I mean, the U.S., I look at Cuba, what's going on in Cuba right now. There's people using firewood to cook their meals. This is all over the country. U.S. and Canada, we've never seen anything like that. The poverty and the implications of a serious energy crisis hasn't hit our shores. And so, people, we see that when we hit the pump. That's nothing. We still live in lavish conditions compared to other parts of the world. But when that hits our shores, what will happen? Are they good? I think that's what a lot of us are thinking right now. For me personally, this is what I think, is that this is all orchestrated. I know we want to think of these top people in the regimes, that they're different factions and they're opposing forces, but I think they're all planning this together. My question is how far are they going to take this? Are they going to allow this to continue, where we really see serious wealth devastation, when we see the food prices skyrocket, and you're talking about, Cyrus, production on just about everything stopping, because no one's I agree with you. The average person is only seeing it at the pump right now. Are they really going to bring this to this point? Now, the meeting with China makes me think differently, because China's been so quiet about this, and so is Russia. And I know we go, well, they're benefiting from it, so they're being quiet. But if they're not in on it, then they should be opposing this, because it's going to affect them. I mean, they need people buying their exports. So if this meeting doesn't, by the time this meeting's over, the war is still going on and there's really no resolution, then I would almost subscribe more to the fact that they are all in on it, that you don't have any sovereign countries that are really opposing forces that aren't going along with this plan. So
China and Russia haven't been quiet. They've both not only denounced it, and they've been constantly urging the United States to back out the unchecked aggression and unprovoked aggression, and they've also urged Iran to be level-headed and not over-escalate or escalate to a point where it's beyond repair. So they haven't been quiet. This just goes to show how much power the U.S. wields. China's a massive trading hub. They're a huge player in the global economy. But as far as projecting power, how are they going to push the U.S. around, right? That's the issue. The U.S. is too powerful. They're acting like a drunk belligerent. And this is not planned. Trump really thought Iran is going to capitulate. Multiple times they thought they're going to capitulate. Threaten by their existence and civilization, didn't work. Threaten their infrastructure, didn't work. Israel threatened nuclear weapons, didn't work. The Iranians are not capitulating. None of this is planned, and the Chinese definitely aren't in on it. You're going to see after this meeting. China is not happy right now.
How many times did Trump threaten 100% tariffs and et cetera, et cetera? This whole thing with tariffs, and I won't spend too long on this, but he always cries out, oh, we've been ripped off for so many years. The U.S. is giving printed money for tangible goods. Printed money
for tangible goods. The only people getting ripped off were the countries that were manufacturing these goods. So I do think that China wields a lot more power, and it's more economic power. And as far as exports, the U.S. needs those exports because what will if we're not importing those cheap items? I mean, inflation's already going to be is going to be a catastrophe with just the energy prices. So as much as China needs to sell those goods, the U.S. needs those goods, whether it's for farming, whether it's for the automotive industry. I mean, we get so many products from there that, and every time that Trump tried to put these tariffs down on them, he backed out every time. That's where taco came from. Because ultimately it was every time he never followed through with the tariffs on China because ultimately that would have been too huge of a blow for the U.S. to swallow.
I mean, you see that in his style across the board. He did the same thing with ICE, very knee-jerk, unplanned. Let's surge the agency. Let's kick out these immigrants without doing anything, on a fundamental level of, where they're being hired. He just wants these quick fixes, silver bullets. Same thing here. He's got, there's a trade disparity. I'm going to put in tariffs. You're not going to undo 25 years of globalism that you set in order. This is America's plan. This is the American global order that we set up, that we want to, enrich all these other countries and trade, which there's a lot of benefit to that. I support globalism, but with parameters, right? So this is America's plan, and when it doesn't work out for them, America's in its very arrogant way, as always, they're gonna be like, hey, we're gonna do this, we're gonna impose on you, we're gonna put tariffs, we're gonna send our warships to the Persian Gulf, we're gonna make you capitulate. It just doesn't work anymore. We're in a true multipolar world. We're heavily dependent on each other, as you mentioned, Art. We rely on so many of our products, not only from China but Vietnam, other, South Korea, Japan. We're all tied at the hip by U.S. design. So now you want to unshackle yourself. I'm not talking about you, Art. I'm saying in general, as Americans, now we want to, be more independent of, the global order. And we're having a hard time because we're so enmeshed and ingrained within the system that we created that we're having a hard time maneuvering.
But Cyrus, there's no way, I don't believe for a second, and this is why I'm saying that, again, where I really agree with Simon is that when we look at each country and we look at the leaders of the country, we automatically assume that those people represent the citizens or the best interests of those countries. I don't look at any of these regimes like this. Tariffs is a failed policy before you even mention it. And all the lying that Trump did, we're generating $17 trillion. We're going to start. Manufacturing takes decades to onshore again. And all that was just nothing but lies. And that's why I was saying, people that don't have the sensibility to know how that all works, bought into them, all the mega base bought into his lies. But even meetings like when there's Mark Zuckerberg sitting next to him making up numbers about how much money they're going to be investing in onshoring and all the jobs it's going to create was all a lie. I mean, tariffs, the only people that pay the tariffs are the US citizens. It's a failed policy. And when you are printing money like nobody's business and have exploding debt, the last thing you want to do is stop importing items. You need to get rid of your dollars. You're printing your dollars, and you're getting tangible items that are made with blood, sweat, and tears, and real products. These are real tangible items, and you're getting for paper. You're getting for monopoly money. To say that the U.S. was being ripped off and to try to sell that narrative, frankly, I can't believe that anybody bought it, because anybody with an economics degree knew that is just, and even just like when because I'm Canadian, the Doug Ford, our premier of Ontario, he ran the ad that about Reagan talking about tariffs and how destructive they are. And then that's when Trump comes out the next day and says he's going to put 25% tariff on Ontario, or on Canada. It's just ridiculous. Like all these things that he's done, all the things that Trump does, it's unbelievable that mega base think that at all he could be doing it for America's best interest. It's like he's gaslighting and just laughing at everyone's face. Like all the things he's implemented are contrary to what would be good for the country, just like this war. Now everyone's praying, I hope the Strait of Hormuz is open and things are allowed to free a ship out of there again. It was open. It was open before the war, you moron. Now you're getting people to go back to cause this chaos and just hope for it goes back to how it was before. He created this crisis. And you can't tell me, I don't believe for a second that, wow, they, they didn't judge Iran's military powers enough. They thought this was going to be an easy win, just like Venezuela, and that's why they're in this position. Come on. Other people, military strategists before this war started were saying, well, you're not going to just push over Iran. They knew this would be an issue. And it's so funny. I don't want to bring this up, but there's this old Christian Bible theologist. His name's Chuck Meisler. And I just heard him. It was like from 13 years ago. He was talking about Iran and he actually mentioned the Strait of Hormuz. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe someone 13 years ago. And he talked about how they control the strait. So listen, they knew this strait would be a problem. And there's no way, look at what they're doing. They're not going for a ground invasion. They knew what would happen if they initiated this war. This is all by design, in my opinion.
I literally said this verbatim, Arcats, yesterday to Cyrus on this space, that American intelligence is like super knowledgeable, right? We say it's one of the best. You telling me that they didn't know that the Strait of Hormuz would get closed by Iran and what would happen and what the consequences of that would be. And now they've done a double blockade. America has, right? America's done that. So Iran has a system in place to let ships through. They've implemented that system. Initially, they made it really easy before they had the system. In the early days of the war, they just said, if you want to let your ships through, expel the Israeli and American ambassador. Only Spain did that, right? Spain expelled the Israeli ambassador, and none of the other countries did. And so we all sat here and suffered. And now they've got a system and a payment system, and they're saying, right, all the ships can go through. And here we are. America's put a double blockade on. America knows those ships can't go through, or there's going to be a risk to them, or they're going to fear being attacked. So America has created this crisis. Trump is getting paid royally. You heard, you weren't on here, but when Gary and Simon were on here, they're talking about how wealthy companies have got, how well they're doing financially in terms of shares and share profits and things like that. And everyone's making so much money off the back of this. We're paying the cost, the consumer's paying the cost, right? Oil companies are making tons of money. Everyone's actually cashing it in. They're going to keep it closed as long as possible. That's the plan.
Yeah, like if you just use logic, like I retweeted, someone had I think Solomon had actually posted it and I retweeted it. It was like someone, it was, they were being kind of facetious, but it's like, just look at things logically. Oh, why are we doing this? Because Iran has nuclear weapons. So the US is going to threaten the use of nuclear weapons on a country for developing nuclear weapons because they might use nuclear weapons, and using nuclear weapons is bad. I mean, the hypocrisy knows no end. I mean, and the fact that people don't look at this and call this person's BS, it's just it's beyond me. Like, why are they making it seem like these negotiations are so hard? They already know what the stipulations would be from both sides. There doesn't need to be this back and forth. It's either you agree or you disagree, but they want you to believe that there's all these hidden meetings and agendas and secret contracts with things that we wouldn't know about. I mean, why did they want this war? I mean, the U.S. comes up with different reasons, but there's only a few of them that they've come up with. So either those things get settled or they don't. And that's it. Why is it? Well, Iran just gave us another one of their 14. Well, we're going to take a look at that and see. And then the U.S., come on, give me a break. It's either the war's over or it's not. It's just like the Russian and Ukraine war. That war was over before it started, and it's still going on because they're just using it as they're just using it as a means to launder money. It's the exact same thing. Extract money, send billions of dollars over there. Canada just committed to sending more money over there. It makes no sense. And people go, yeah, well, of course I'm going to support Ukraine. No, you're supporting a war that's already lost. You're supporting sending people to the front line to die just so certain people can embezzle our money.
Well, beyond the money, I mean, certainly there's folks making money from this crisis, but beyond that, it comes down to one thing, and that's for Israel to be the sole power in the Middle East. They cannot stand an emergent Iran as a regional power plus. They're more than a regional power now in light of what we witnessed in the Strait of Hormuz. It's always been about that. It's not about the nuclear weapons. I mean, they've been, the IAEA has been all up in Iran, literally weekly. Weekly inspections, 24-hour monitoring. Anytime they can do surprise inspections, and all of our intelligence analysis from the CIA to the DIA, everyone pointed to, hey, Iran is no closer to nuclear weapons than they were in the year 2000. They're not seeking nuclear weapons, so it's not about nuclear weapons. It's about stopping Iran from becoming a regional power and disallowing Israel with their expansionist, murderous campaign. And on the sideline, yes, the military industrial complex gets rich. The Trump family gets rich, but that doesn't lead to a strategic victory. Trump thought Iran would capitulate. They never expected this would get to a point where there's a double blockade. They're stuck. So Trump needs to make sure the whole world thinks he's the strong man. So he made the last move. He had the last say, which is the sorry. Essentially, this boils down to Israel's wishes. They've never had a Manchurian candidate like Trump. Every U.S. president before Trump refused to attack Iran. They chose containment, still draconian criminal sanctions. I mean, they're not much better, but they didn't attack Iran, right? So it took a compromised president, a potentially compromised president, just to be, politically correct about it. But he's acting like he is beholden to Israel full on, just the way he interacts with the Adelsons, the way he interacts with Netanyahu, pulling his chairs out, attacking countries. So none of this was planned. America does not want to be in this position where they're in a stalemate, where a middle power like Iran has imposed so dominantly in the Strait of Hormuz. None of these are W's. None of this, gives any credence to, U.S. continuing their, success story. This all leads to the U.S. being defeated, to our economy being hurt. And, even if the banksters and the technocrats, whoever you want to call them, there's a limit to that. When the U.S. constituents are, getting destitute, there's only that rope runs short real quick. So I don't think our leadership, as twisted that they want to see unrest in the United States. This is a clear case of miscalculation. Trump threw a Hail Mary pass, thought Iran would capitulate, took out the supreme leader, took out 20, 30 key leaders. Iran didn't skip a beat. The show continues. They're a command and control state intact, and they fought the fight of their lifetimes. I mean, all of the American analysts are saying, oh my God, Iran over-delivered. We all thought they would impose on the Strait of Hormuz, but not like this. We didn't expect 4 U.S. bases to get leveled to dust and the remaining 16 battered and bruised. We didn't expect the 5th Fleet to pack up and go to Florida. No one expected that. So this is not controlled. Any notion of that is, that's not grounded in reality in my estimation anyway.
Yeah, I actually think I think our governments do want to see civil unrest. I think that's where Palantir comes in. I think that's where the kind of surveillance state comes in, and I think if you remember Trump's all these like caged centers he's built before for migrants, whatever happened to those? That were going to hold thousands and thousands of people. He was building those, right? And they were never for migrants. They were for Americans, and we've got the same in the UK. They want the surveillance state, and civil unrest is part of it. Get a few people, do a bit of civil unrest, scare the rest of the people, send a message out, get them to pipe down and be quiet and be good little citizens. Otherwise, they know what's going to happen to them.
Yeah, but what would lead to that, Beatrix, is complete economic collapse. That's what would cause civil unrest, and that would undermine our stability as a nation. I mean, I just don't buy into that we're doing this on purpose to make the global economy go into a recession, potentially depression, just so we can have Palantir come and take control over us. I mean, that's too far-fetched. That's not how rational states behave, even when they have a Manchurian candidate, right? It's not one person.
Yeah, but Cyrus, you're talking about Palantir like it's a third-party organization. It's America-owned. Like Palantir come and take control over us. Palantir is you, as in your government is Palantir. It's not a third-party organization. Like when Simon was up here, we were talking like how many contracts has our government given to Palantir? They've got all our data now in the UK. They're everywhere. I don't believe for a second that freaking Doge thing was about, Department of Government Efficiency. It wasn't. It was about mass data collection. They went in there, they did whatever they did, and they came out. It was not about government. Like every other day, they're like, oh, we saved 120 billion today. What happened to those checks that you guys were all going to get in the post, by the way, when Doge was there? When you guys all going to get some checks in America? Did anybody get it? Casey, did you get your check in the post?
Check, not at all.
Where did she come back from? Why is this? Who bought this tether back in this space?
Whoa, what is
Wait,
going on?
We were calling you like an hour ago. You weren't here, bro. What you making it look like you were here all this time?
Because I had to, yeah, but I'm here. But and yes, she was here. She was here. She was here. She was busy with me. She was busy chatting to me. She was here. She was here.
Exposed.
Exactly. Thank you. It was just 30. It was 3 minutes.
Cyrus, where I don't agree with you again is, if the plan from these leaders weren't to extract money from all of us, then again, there's no way they could not give us energy relief. There's a few countries that have alleviated some of the government taxes on it, but when you have a few corporations that are all profiteering from this crisis, it makes no sense that you don't try to alleviate a potential world crisis by not allowing those few corporations to profiteer and allowing citizens to keep their money in their pockets to redistribute in the economy. So if they, again, I understand there's the other production side of it and that you need energy for a lot of other things. But I'm saying in the meantime, if this wasn't a concerted effort to extract money from the middle class and to globally, then they could easily stop these prices. And I know, it's global energy. No, they could do a lot to cap these prices, put a moratorium on gas prices so that these few companies aren't the ones profiteering. But when those same people making the decisions are the same people that own the shares in those companies, then that's why, of course, they don't do anything to curtail it. So again, it's hard for me to look at this and not see how this is a concerted effort and being orchestrated.
I mean, it would hold true if the executive branch was the only relevant one. We have checks and balances. We have the entire Pentagon that warned Trump against this. We're like, hey, you're going to lose this war. You're going to get into the Strait of Hormuz, get stuck. This was done on behest of Israel to stop Iran from becoming a regional power. And
Oh my God, Cyrus, you don't have checks and balances if Trump is the man in charge and he did this. There are no checks and balances.
There are, though. He hasn't been able to do a lot of things he wanted to.
Well, what checks and balances stopped this?
Why do you think he backed up ICE?
Tell me what checks
He
and
had to
balances.
back up ICE. He couldn't do it. He couldn't keep going with the way he wanted to. That's one example.
Oh my God. I'm not talking about ICE. Where's your checks and balances now that he's got the whole world to ransom? If you say that literally, like, it's not him, like, where's the checks and balances to get him to open the Strait of Hormuz? That's what checks and balances do. They stop. They don't give advice. They don't pass pieces of paper and say, I'm not sure that's a good idea. That's not check and balance.
America's not going to throw the global economy into, a depression just so Trump can...
It is doing though, Cyrus. That's what
we're going to find out,
happening.
right?
Johnny said our diesel's gone from 133 to 185. That is throwing the global economy.
That's not even the beginning. That's not even the beginning. That's not. You haven't even felt the first pain yet. When we're talking about a global depression, I mean, everyone's going to be broke. So we're not going to. That's not going to happen.
Let me tell you something, Cyrus. We're 73 days in, right? It was in the first month that the Far East started saying to people, we're going to have to lay you off. You're going to have to work from home. We don't have any diesel. We don't have any fuel. The first month in. And the same thing started happening in Europe. People are having to give up their jobs. They can't afford to fill their car. They're sitting at home.
Yeah, and it's just the beginning.
You said yourself that India's given a notice out over the last 2 days saying work from home, can't afford fuel.
Exactly. And it hasn't even started yet.
Is he going to stop? Do you see anything from Trump to say he's going to stop?
I mean, listen, like the day before the ceasefire, he was saying, I'm about to end your civilization. And the next day he was like, hey, we stopped. So he's going to push this.
Exactly.
So he's going to push it to the limit till he can't anymore. The world will not go into a global recession. Trump will back down.
It is going into a global recession. That is what's happening right now.
We're not there yet. We're not even close. We're pushing it. I've been saying we're pushing it. We're getting to the precipice. We agree on that we're pushing that, threshold. But once you cross it, there's no coming back. It's not that you can, the recession stopped. We better stop the blockade. Once it starts, there's no stopping it. That's not how the global economic wheels.
There is no stopping this. That's the point, Cyrus. That's the point that I'm making. That's the point that Arcax is making. There's no stopping this. This is it. You heard when Simon was on here, the world as we know it is over.
It's easy to stop it. You just lift the blockade now. We have about a month, 2 months left.
He's not going to do it, Cyrus. He's going to China to suck up to sheeping with all of his bloody business kind of leaders, isn't he? With Elon Musk and everybody else going in tow. He's not bothered about the Strait of Hormuz.
They could have stopped this week.
He's
We're going to
making
find out
bucks.
soon. They could have stopped this 3 months. Do you not see the carrot every 2 weeks? Every 2 weeks, oh, ceasefire. Oh, we're in talks. This is how you keep people at bay. This is how you slowly extract money from people. If it was all put on the table right away, then your bank account, my bank account, people are not going to be nearly as affected. This is the slowly, and things go slowly first, and then so I think here's the thing. I do agree with you. This would lead to a global depression, and how can this possibly be even good for the elites? Surely they would suffer, right? If they own all the assets, or at least have whatever's left of them money, they would just handicap anyways. They don't seem to care about now. There's things that they can be doing right now to alleviate this pressure globally, and they're doing nothing. So if they're doing nothing, and they could be, it's because they don't want to alleviate the pressure. They want this pressure. So I think that's the thing, is like, we always think that things in this world are all seasons, and that, oh, it will get better. The real estate market is down now, but it's going to rebound. It's going to get better. We want to think that everything gets better, but what happens if there's a point where it doesn't? Because the people in control truly are demonic and evil, and they don't care about us, because that is what it's seeming is the reality.
And just to add to that, Cyrus, we saw that Spirit Airlines, they filed for bankruptcy. I think 17,000 people are going to be out of jobs, and then they give you this excuse. Oh well, they're filing for bankruptcy because they had poor customer service. It's not the customer service; it's the jet fuel. Regardless, it's just, you see it happening. It's already happening.
Let me read these super chats, and then that girl. When we actually went to you, when you disappeared, you can do the job now in a second, so be ready. Don't we catch these? This is the problem, the work ethic.
Yo, that's a good one.
FBA. Okay. First of all, thank you for the huge super chat by Loki. We love Loki. She's amazing. Always on the YouTube, always giving the support. Loki Lansby. And then we have Jas saying, thanks for the real news. Great work, Jas from Europe. And then a big super chat from Switzerland saying, get your blue tick premium on Twitter X J as per. Oh, J, thank you so much for the support. But actually, I didn't not get it because I'm cheap. You're getting me confused with Beatrix. Basically, the reason is it's been taken away from me. Your boy has been censored by Elon Musk. Elon Musk don't let me have the blue check mark. He took it away from me because I'm too powerful. Because we're having too much of an impact. So he took away the blue check mark because it can impact our engagement. But appreciate that. And Real Raw Milk says, try not to, another huge super chat said, try not to spend it all in one go. Cheers, Real Raw Milk. Thank you so much for your support. Really means a lot and really helps a lot. Right now, Casey, are you there? Or are you going to disappear again?
Can I just say something first, really? Thank you to everybody who's done a super chat. Thank you to Real Raw Milk, comments all the time. And guys, it's not because I'm cheap that I haven't got a blue check mark. I, on principle, do not want to give Elon money just to be trolled on a public account. No, that was crypto. Crypto gave it. It's expired actually. Do you remember crypto gifted it when I privatized my account? Yeah, I know, but it's not there. It was for 3 months. Crypto gifted it. But I didn't pay for a blue check mark. I don't want a blue check mark. I don't want followers. I don't want to be trolled by Elon Musk and those freaking...
psychology.
No, I don't want it. That's why I gave up my other account. So I haven't got it out of principle. Awesome. That's what it is.
That girl, do you want to actually do some work now, or is it what? So
Yes, I'm here. I've been working. Yes.
Okay. So there's a tweet in the nest, and it's the link to the Moral Resistance channel. Now, Casey, we've got 4,823 people here. We need to get to 5,000. So can you do your thing and get people to follow? Let's see if they listen to you or if they're racist.
I know, guys. Yes, if you don't go and subscribe and hit that notification bell on this channel, you are racist. No, but no. All jokes aside, guys, hit the link right there above Suleiman and Beatrix to the Moral Resistance channel, guys. Definitely hit the link. Go and subscribe. There's no reason why, if we have 4,800 and what you said, 23, that close of people to 5,000 already on this channel, there's no reason why we can't have 5,000 by the time we get off this space. Okay, so I believe in the next like 10 minutes we'll have at least 50 people who've hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit your notification bell. It really is extremely important. They're suppressing, real news, fact-based news, conversations. They're trying to suppress that. This is Netanyahu's 8th front on the war is information. So this is why we want to support Suleiman. Go hit the subscribe, hit your notification bell, very important. Go subscribe to the More Resistance channel. The link is right above Suleiman and Beatrix. Back to you, Suleiman.
And we are the Moral Resistance, Tracy, apart from Jonah. You've got to say that.
Yes, apart from Jonah.
But
yes, she is.
Listen, tomorrow as well, we're carrying on, we're not ending space, but tomorrow we're going to start a lot earlier, just to let you know, because I know you're all like used to our normal time. So when we start a little bit earlier or later, you're not ready for it. But we're starting a lot earlier tomorrow. We're starting at 11 a.m. Eastern. 11 a.m. Eastern. We have David Icke in the house. 11 a.m. Eastern. We're going to be starting a lot earlier tomorrow. So be ready. Actually, we're going to start a little bit earlier than that. Probably be like 10:30. But anyway, be ready for that. That will start like 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Have your notifications on. So many huge interviews tomorrow. We got David Icke. We got Professor Izadi, we got Dr. Tusa, we got Harrison Smith, we got Ryan Dawson, we got Larry Johnson, and we got Professor Robert Pape, who's gone viral at the moment on his escalation trap. So this is going to be fire day tomorrow. And then obviously we've got the space as well, where the panelists speak in between all those interviews as well. So it's going to be a very long day for your boy, but he's ready for it. He's ready for the marathon. But yeah, that's it. Okay. So let's get back into the conversation. What happened then? Did Beatrix get destroyed by Cyrus?
I have a couple points for Beatrix. I wouldn't say she quite got destroyed, but I do want to make
have you destroyed her?
Oh my God, Cyrus! What do you mean? That doesn't even warrant a response. I annihilated you. What are you talking about?
That's for the audience to judge and for God to judge, right? So, but my point is this, Beatrix. So, if we're going down that path of pushing the narrative that the global catastrophe and the global recession / depression is coming, let's talk about it in real terms. So that means you're going to lose your house. Whoever I'm talking for the great number of Americans.
Okay.
If you're in a $2,000 apartment a month, you're going to be in a $1,000 apartment a month. If you're eating steak once a week, you're going to be eating McDonald's for a week. You're going to be out of a job. So this is what you're predicting, and I'm saying that's not going to happen because let's be very clear about it in real terms.
Right. So Cyrus, a global depression affects people in different ways. It's not going to affect. So number one, Trump is filling his pockets up. He's making big bag from the Strait of Hormuz being closed, which is why it's still closed, right? Now, a global depression is not going to affect him in the same way as somebody who's living paycheck to paycheck, okay? Now, all the policies that the UK is coming out with, I speak about on this space. We've had that renters reform bill. Ooh, it's for people who rent. It's to protect them. No, it isn't. I spoke to somebody else today. I was telling Suleiman earlier, what everybody I'm speaking to are putting their second, third, and fourth property on the market to sell because they don't want to rent them anymore. They don't want a renter for life that they can't get rid of. They don't want a renter for life that they can't put the rent up on. This is what the law is that's come out in the UK. So it's going to cause a property market crash. So those people that were living off a second property rental income, they will no longer have that. Renters have nowhere to go. They're going to have to downsize. These are real problems that people are going to have. Now, I don't know your circumstances, but I know people who are paying paycheck to paycheck. They're struggling already to pay their bills.
And that's before the global
We've
recession.
never had
Imagine
as
what
many
it's going to look like. You're making my point.
We are going into recession. You're saying it's coming as though it's 2 years down the road. I'm saying it's
3 months down the road. But if the blockade doesn't get lifted, if the blockade is lifted, we're going to be the same state. What you're describing is that we're already in economic duress. The middle class is already under pressure. These are natural forces at play before the closing.
Well, look,
this is
let me tell
before
you
the
what's going to
closing of the
happen.
strait.
At some point, right? Iran's going to have its way, which is going to be they're going to charge for that blockade, and their system's going to be implemented, and America's going to have to lift its blockade, and America's going to have to behave itself, right, and concede, basically, that this is the kind of, America's going to exit the Middle East, and America's going to have to concede that this is what the new kind of region looks like. But I don't know when that's going to happen. Because right about now, they're happy to let the world go to waste. You're like, oh no, but America wouldn't let, the civilization, the globe, the world go to this. They are doing it right now. Trump is more than happy. Our governments are, the oil companies are raking in billions.
Yes,
Who do you think's paying the price?
Cyrus, you keep on saying that if they don't open the strait, well, did you ever think, again, it's not about if they can or can't. This is the narrative they're using to cause turmoil globally. So it's not if they can or they can't, because I would suggest that this could be resolved. How do you go ahead? Like, let's just say that the US, like the Iran is not going to concede to the US demands, even though those demands are some of the things that weren't a problem before the war. But let's just say that's a true case. Why would you, as the leader of the most powerful country in the world, proceed with a war that's going to cause a global depression? You always take the high road. You always take the lesser of two evils. They're doing the opposite here. You're telling me that Trump is so narcissistic. It's about his pride. There's not other people that are saying, hey, listen, Mr. President, you can't do this. This is BS. These are global elites that are all orchestrating this together. You don't proceed with a war that's going to cause a global depression because the country that you're at war with might develop a nuclear weapon while you're threatening to use a nuclear weapon on them that you have. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
At least we all agree on that we're pushing towards a global depression that is going to be catastrophic, right? So we're agreeing we're pushing those bounds. My prediction is we have about 3 months in the gas tank before that happens, maximum, right? And we're already seeing the real effects in India. You're going to see it continue to ripple down towards Europe. So your prediction is that Trump will continue to do this because the elites want this global depression to happen. And I'm saying this is a chaotic situation. Trump is stuck in a stalemate in the Strait of Hormuz. He can't back out, and he's refusing to concede due to personal pride and just the general sense of U.S. primacy and exceptionalism that's already inherent in our behavior as a superpower. And to top it off, now we got Trump, a real narcissist, at the helm. So now it's on that exceptionalism is on steroids, right? So we're dealing with this crisis that is running on its last leg. We are running out of runway. This plane is going to crash.
I just want to say one thing. So I don't necessarily know the length that they're willing to take on this. Is this just a 60 to 90 day war where they're profiting huge regardless, and then they're going to stop it once we're on the precipice of almost pushing us over the edge?
But you're saying they want us to. You just said that it benefits them for the global economy to go into a depression so that they can come and take control with Palantir. It's all planned. This is orchestrated. So you're predicting the depression. I'm predicting not a depression. So let's be very clear. Don't beat around the bush. Let's see. What is your prediction? Who, if they truly want this, the global elites, these evil people, and I'm not saying they're not, right? I agree on that, but they are not pushing us into a global depression. They're just too prideful to concede. As Beatrix mentioned, we made Iran a global power, right? Iran was minding its own business. The first step is give Iraq to Iran, a Shia majority country. Now they're best buddies. And then now we gave them the Strait of Hormuz that wasn't even contested. Now we're like, hey, Iran, here you go. Show us how powerful you really are. Iran was minding its own business. They were a slit.
Oh my God! You didn't give them the Strait of Hormuz. It was never yours to give, Cyrus.
It was nobody's.
Right? It was
nobody's.
It was always theirs. They were loving and warm, and they wanted to share it with the whole world.
We exposed that Iran holds the strategic chokehold, and they can possess it if they want to. Then if that was the case, if it belonged to Iran, why didn't they toll it 40 years ago? Because they'd have no intention. Iranians are no.
I just told you, because they were loving and sharing and caring.
How good people behave. Exactly, we agree on that, right? So we made it a thing. We made Iran show their real power. Otherwise, they were a sleeping power. They were low key. No one really knew what they were capable of. Even me, who's analyzed them, I'm like, yeah, they were probably very capable of really imposing on the region. I didn't think to this level, right? So even I was surprised, and all the top analysts who follow Iran that knew what they could do, like they over-delivered across the board, right? America made them exposed as a true huge power, right? So if their intention was to make Iran weak, they did the opposite, right? So a global depression is not coming. There's no way our leaders will lead us to that. Let's make our predictions. We have 3 months, right?
To answer your question, Cyrus. So my prediction is that they're testing the waters just like they did with COVID. They want to see how much people, what people are willing to take, how much control and influence they could put over people, how much they could keep us all in our cages until we totally rebel and let loose. And I think that, and when they're ready to take control, I think AI plays a role in this. I think when they're ready, and if they think they could take control and really see very little resistance from the masses, they'll do it. In the meantime, it's a waiting game. If they could just continue to extract a little bit more from us and a little bit more from us, what's that doing? It's making us weaker. It's making people have to take extra jobs. You can't focus on what's going on. Most of the people I know don't have time. They don't even know there's a war going on because they're busy working 3 jobs. So when they could keep you busy, that you don't have time to actually listen to these spaces and figure out what's really going on in the world, then that just, again, just is a way of them exuding even more control. So how far will they take this? Honestly, I don't know. But all I keep on hearing from all the news pundits, especially mainstream media, is like, well, even if the war stopped tomorrow, it doesn't mean the strait's going to reopen, doesn't mean the economic fallout from high gas prices and the fertilizer issues.
You don't know that means you have no
to
position on it. I'm making a very clear point that the U.S. will not push us past the brink, right? We're talking about that specific point that if they don't open the strait and we're fast approaching it, right? So you're saying you have no position on it. That's what you're saying.
Okay, Cyrus, what's the brink? What's the brink? Let me tell you, right? So I gave you an example of fuel prices, right? What about fertilizer?
Absolutely.
1/3 of global fertilizer trade normally passes through the Strait of Hormuz. So we've already had warnings from like Asia and Africa and Latin America. They're actually just cutting planting, or they're having to switch to like lower yield crops because they can't afford fertilizer
You're adding
anymore.
credit to my points. You're adding to my case because there's a famine would happen.
I'm freaking making my own point. I ain't adding to nothing you've said. Don't get it mixed up. You're saying it's going to happen in the future. I'm saying we're going through it right now, and you're saying basically the only difference of opinion is you're saying make a prediction how long this is going to last, right? And I'm saying I don't know how long this is going to last. It could last 3 months, it could last 4 months, it could last 5 months. But what I do disagree is that when that Strait of Hormuz opens, you think life goes back to normal. And I'm saying it doesn't. I'm saying it's going to be a surveillance state. This whole thing that's happening right now is going to change our life forever. It's not just about the Strait of Hormuz has got a blockade and then the blockade's going to be lifted. Art, you were going to jump in and then we'll let Cyrus respond.
Yeah, Cyrus, I'm just saying, you keep on saying like, we're going to hit this point of economic depression. I just said, people in Cuba and other parts of the world are using firewood to heat their water and cook their meals. They have no electricity. There's people in Asia that are waiting 8 hours a day to get one cantina filled of gas. Like we just haven't experienced that yet. So that to us would be a depression, but it's already happening. And so these global, you think Trump doesn't know this? You think all the other regimes don't know this? They don't care. So do you think they care more about people in the US than they do other parts of the world? I don't. I just think that the US and Canada and places like North America haven't felt or lived through that yet, but it's already happening and they don't care.
Yeah, Beatrix, to your point, I've never mentioned that, the world will be the same after the war and after the blockade. Certainly, if the U.S. doesn't sign an all-encompassing agreement with Iran, which I don't think they will, Iran will impose the toll. It will be a new world order. Iran will emerge as a new middle plus power, right? They're not even a regular middle power like India, or let's say South Korea. They're a middle plus power because they have their hand on a chokehold that affects everybody, right? So all this is huge differences. And to your point, the urea disruption, which is the fertilizers you speak of, Chile is already freaking out. A lot of the agricultural communities in Europe, a lot of places are worried about shortages. So that's my whole point. We haven't even begun being in a depression. So there's a huge cliff ahead. And remember, I predicted that we're going to be out of this. The blockade will open the 3rd week of May. So I'm probably going to be wrong in that very trying to be pinpoint accurate. But Because I foresaw this coming. I knew India is going to be in huge turmoil. The oil prices in the UK and in Europe will skyrocket, and we're fast approaching that. And there's a cliff that once we go off, there's no coming back. The only point I'm making, we won't go over that cliff because there's going to be famine. There's going to be people starve, looking like skeletons walking around in third world countries. Right? That's the human tragedy. There's an economic tragedy that's going to come. So we're not going to witness that. We're not going to see skeletonized people walking around. We're not going to see half of America losing their houses. There's no way that our government, even though they're compromised, we have a Manchurian candidate, whatever that is going on, that it's very clear to us, even with this wretched, misguided government, they're not going to jump off that cliff. Impossible. I'm making a very clear analysis. There's no doom and gloom. Don't freak out. This is not, because if you're correct, Beatrix, and the Strait stays closed for past 3 months, right? You said it yourself. The global oil supply is 3 months, right? Once they're out, you have physical shortages. You can pay $100 a gallon. There's no gas to pump. $1,000 a gallon. There's not a drop of gas to pump. The whole system crumbles. There's no way our government will allow that to happen. I mean, you can say anything otherwise, but there's no way you can convince me of that. This is not some, everyone's in cahoots and China is working on it. Let's rob them. This is not how it works. Depression is a strong word. It means destitution. It means starvation. It means people crying. It means people weeping. It means families being destroyed. This is not happening based on an artificial crisis, right? America.
Oh, why is it happening, Cyrus? You're talking about a government that destroyed the Middle East, killed like hundreds of millions of people, right? Funded a frigging genocide that killed children, bombed a school that killed 168 kids. We literally have got people starving right now because of a lack of fertilizer. And you're saying, oh, but the government's so moral and Trump won't let
They're
it
not
get
more.
that
No,
far.
they're not
Like,
moral.
seriously, I'm really
If they
bored
would
of this
benefit them and they would
conversation.
stay in power, and the U.S. would stay intact, you're right. But
It is. He's making back.
yeah, he's making back for now. We haven't pushed past the cliff. Once it goes over the cliff, the whole system crumbles. The elite will be hurt badly. This is if the stuff.
No, they won't.
So
They won't
they're not
work.
gonna do a suicide mission. This what you're saying constitutes a suicide mission. A global depression would hurt everybody, including the elite.
Okay, can you just let me know, right? In the purple pill, people on the YouTube chat want to know because they want to take whatever drugs you're on as well because they think that it's going to make them look at the world through rose tinted spectacles. I want to know whatever drugs you're taking
I'm
as
far
well.
from
But anyway,
optimistic. I
Casey,
mean,
jump in.
I think what I'm saying is still doom and gloom. I'm just saying it's not a suicide mission. I mean, I'm not optimistic at all. The next 25 years are not going to be rosy for anybody, but it's not going to be mass starvation in Africa and parts of Asia. We're not going to see the US stock market crash.
They are having it right now, Cyrus. Look, the point is people are
Yeah,
suffering
but not
today.
billions, not
They
billion,
are
not
really
billions, not
suffering.
billions.
Right.
The same amount have
Right.
always been
Okay. Well,
suffering.
then you're arguing about semantics, about the number. Listen to me. There is mass poverty in Africa, in Latin America, in Asia, right here in the UK. I don't know about America, but I'm assuming in America where people are suffering. Count all of those people across the world, and it is probably billions, right? The point is, until the Strait of Hormuz is open, people are going to continue suffering. Once that Strait of Hormuz is open, what we were talking about earlier, it's about data centers, it's about the surveillance state, and life changes. You don't accept that? Fine. That's the way it's going. Okay. But that's what's going to happen. You think that once the Strait of Hormuz is open, it's all going to be okay and things are going to go back to normal? Fine. But let Casey jump in, and then I will come to you, Zena Love. I see you there. Go ahead, Casey.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. It's like we already have examples of our government, our establishment allowing for famine and things like that to happen now. Like we look at Cuba with the sanctions. Look at a lot of countries. Nobody has time to really go back and go to the root cause of a lot of this so-called famine that I hear that people just couldn't control their own countries because they were black countries or brown countries. They didn't know how to grow food for whatever reason. And then they just start going hungry. I'm pretty sure that there's more to that than what meets the eye. But even when we went into Somalia, we went in on some so-called humanitarian issue, and we've been bombing them ever since. I was in the 90s, and we've been bombing them ever since to this day. This is what our establishment does. This is already happening. Right. So there's no reason for them now. All of a sudden, you think now they're going to be like, no, we're not going to be involved with a global recession. Trump is going to China. And I looked at that list because Gary kept talking about that list of people that he's going with. They're going to have the money. They will print money. They'll be fine. They will. And then they will have people, just at the government's will to, this is how you control people. I don't want to get fully, conspiratorial about it, but it's very easy to control people like that. Now you're going to be relying on the government. You need the UBI. Spirit going bankrupt really just shows you a lot. It's not about customer service. It's that jet fuel thing that finally took them out. 17,000 people without a job. And also now people who probably didn't make, and I'll end with this, who probably weren't making, all the money in the world, but still maybe they wanted to go to Miami or something and pay $100 for a round trip ticket to still have a break. But you can't do that anymore, right? This is the beginning. Just because it's not happening right away doesn't mean that it's not happening. And it's not about selling doom and gloom. It's about people waking up immediately so you figure out what you need to do to for you and yours to not be out here begging and looking, crazy, and see how you can save yourself, your family, and the ones you care about, your community, and things like that. But this notion that the government's not going to allow that, they've allowed horrible things to happen. So
if we go into depression, there's nothing you can do to prepare for it. We will all be eating ramen noodles, right? So it's not about a discretionary trip to Miami so you can go take some selfies with your friends. It's not about that. It's about a true calamity, and I'm making a clear distinction, right? I'm not saying once the strait is open, we're going to go back to normal business. All the destitute people that you mentioned, based on our bad policies, we dump weed into the ocean. There's people in Africa starving. They're going to continue to suffer because of the terrible globalist system. That's in place. It's already that bad. If we go into global depression, everyone's going to starve, and even in the US we're going to be down to scraps. That's not going to happen. I'm making that clear prediction. We're not going down that path, and
Yeah, but debating, how bad it's going to get in terms of your definition of depression and how bad we're saying. That's all it is. It's semantics. Let's go to Zina. Zina, go ahead.
Thank you. KC was talking about, look at Somalia and look at, all these places around the world that we've left destitute. But I'm not saying forget those places, because we should always be conscious of those places. But look here in the United States, look at what we left behind in Flint, Michigan, or in Maui, or in Los Angeles after the fires, or in the South after the hurricanes, one after the other. Our government doesn't care about its people. Throughout the course of not just this war on Iran, the rich continue, the uber rich continue to get more uber rich. It's why, when all of these things, I used to hate when Simon speaks, because the Palestinian in me, the human in me, the human rights advocate in me, find him so cold and so heartless when he talks about these plans and these things going forward. And I'm sure he's a lovely man. I'm not saying anything about him as an individual. He's certainly very well educated and well read, but it really kind of spiraled me into a really dark place the other night, and the pieces started to click into place. And Cyrus, you've talked about, the American people, we won't let this happen, and there'll be a point where we just won't take it anymore and we'll push back. I'm calling BS on that. People were upset about lockdowns and the draconian measures that were put in place during COVID, but most people either went along for the ride or figured out how to circumvent it and move on with their lives. And then we had the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And now they're talking about this hantavirus and, potential scenarios for lockdowns. And then we're talking about, when I talked about the school encampments the other day when I came up here, but during the student encampments, for security for the campus, so a bunch of students camping out on the lawn on campus, triggered the campus-wide shutdowns where they went into remote learning, and people slid right into it. Why? Because we've rehearsed it, we know the drill, and people have gotten to a point where they're complacent and will just grumble about it. They'll get in the spaces with like-minded people, and they'll raise their fists and they'll do their whatever their thing is, and this is a moral outrage and we're not going to take it. But in the end, we took it. We did. And here we are again. Oh, the fuel prices and this war in Iran, and this is wrong, and we're not going to go die for Israel, except we are. We absolutely are. We're just sitting down and letting it happen. We talk about it in spaces. We grumble about it to our friends. We write about it in our Twitters or in our, threads or whatever it is, but we're taking it. There is no, I feel like the American population in particular, but the global population at large has gotten to a point where we've just normalized being handicapped. We've gotten normalized to having our powers taken away from us and letting it happen and accepting of all of it happening. And I really don't know where you're seeing this point that the uber wealthy, they have no limits and they will continue to have more uber wealthy. And these things that have been falling into place, the surveillance, the data collection, I do agree with you, Beatrix, that the Doge thing, okay, I'll finish. Sorry.
No problem, I appreciate your thought. Do go back tomorrow. We are wrapping up. It's just the videos guys, we are wrapping up. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to be back at about 10:30 a.m. Eastern, which is 3:30 p.m. UK. Be ready for it. Have your notifications on. Be ready. There is a tweet in the net. Okay. There is a tweet in the nest, and it is in the comments section as well. So guys, if you're on the YouTube, I can see y'all crying. Now you know where you need to go. Now you know where you need to go. So click on the tweet in the nest. Click on the tweet in the YouTube comments. It's pinned. And everyone come across. It's the interview with Professor Morandi. Come and watch it. Show support to your boy. Show support to Professor Morandi. Some of you may have missed it. Even if you haven't missed it, it's worth watching again. It's only like 27-minute interview. So come across there. We're all watching it. So tweet in the nest. Tweet in the YouTube comments. Everyone come across. Much love to each and every single one of you. We'll be back tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Early in the morning, bro.